Well, this kind of sucks, but it's okay. up, Noah? Oh. Hello.
I'm
Hi.
trying to figure this out. I don't know why I'm having problems.
Uh-oh. There we go.
Working.
Oh, you're streaming from your house now. Wow. We're live already, I think.
We're live?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you should go in and can you go on my YouTube page and make sure and see if I'm live?
Yes, I will in a second.
Okay. Yeah, and I sent the link to Francisco, but yeah, he hasn't responded really. He just responded to Isaiah saying that he's not gonna come on.
I think Francisco said he would be on, like, he couldn't come on right at 6, is what I recall.
No, it's at 7.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm starting at 6 because I'm, what do you call it? I swear I said 7. Let's look.
I thought you said 6, but then he said he'd be a little late. But it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I just don't want to keep you here forever, but I swear I said 7. Yeah, I did. I did say 7. No, my what do you call it? My the TikTok said 6 for people to come in and ask us questions.
Ah.
Yeah, we can do.
Okay.
Let's see if we can summon my TikTok people. It's mostly women, Noah. Okay.
Okay, well, I'm just getting my setup ready, so just do your thing.
Yeah.
We'll just be. I watched the first tonight. It was actually entertaining.
You watched the first what?
The first fight tonight.
Yeah, I had it on a second ago. Yeah.
It was pretty entertaining.
Uh, it it like arguing people on TikTok is so funny because they're just so dumb. Like,
They really are
yeah.
insane. Like, holy shit.
This one guy was like freaking out that I like talk shit about RFK.
Yeah, well, no wonder they like RFK. They all have brainworms too.
Yeah, apparently. I have no, what do you call it? I don't know. What did he say? I'm trying to find it.
Given that, the party of Marjorie Taylor Greene is in charge and, this conspiracy theories are alive, I thought I'd play into them today. This is what I'm wearing.
Oh, let's go.
Do Space Laser Defense Force, baby.
I talked about how he got 83 people killed in fucking American Samoa, and he goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. I'll look into it." Guaranteed, not looking into it, bro. Like 0% chance he looks into it. Oh my god. And why do they always say that too? Oh, I'll look into it.
I'm surprised they even said that, honestly. I would have just assumed he would have said, oh, it's fake.
My god. realize there was going to be other fights on that card. Kind of sad. I just wanted to watch Mike Tyson fucking like rip the head off of Jake Paul and then be done with it.
It's coming. Don't worry. It's coming. Although I think Mike Tyson's going to lose, unfortunately.
Yeah, they have to. They have the Rock'em Sock'em Robot gloves on, so.
Are they different gloves?
They have gigantic gloves, it looks like. I don't know. I mean, these guys have smaller gloves. Previous guys had giant gloves. Why do you think Mike Tyson's going to lose?
He's just too old. I think Mike Tyson has more skill in boxing than Jake Paul could ever hope to garner. That's a fact. But if Mike Tyson doesn't knock Jake Paul out in like 30 fucking seconds, I think Paul's youth and athleticism is just gonna win him the fight.
Yeah. Well, maybe not athleticism anymore because he gained like fucking 400 pounds, but
he's still gonna be in better shape as a young man than Mike Tyson is at over 50.
That's fair.
That's why you don't see pro boxers fighting after 50. Your body just can't hold up.
Yeah.
But I think Mike Tyson could get lucky and take him out super quick. I think that's the only way he can really win.
But you know what? That'd be a great way. Oh my god. I should have ate something small and then went and got food with you, but because I didn't know Aniha took the last thing of blast noodles and ate them today. I had like a healthy lunch that was still there, and Aniha ate the last one. And I'm like, fuck. Oh, Noah is frozen. Amazing. Love it. Question is it me? No, it's not. Oh, it tells you now. They updated.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my computer died. Sorry.
Oh, huh.
Or it crashed or something. You said you didn't know Nihao took what?
Oh, took the last healthy lunch. So
Oh.
now I'm eating the lightly breaded chicken nuggets, which is probably not good for me. But
Wait, when's your fight again?
what?
When's your fight again?
My tournament is on December 7th at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. So
December what?
December 7th.
December 7th. Okay.
Why do you ask?
I just want to make sure I can go.
Sweet.
And I'm assuming that's why you're eating healthy in prep for that.
Yeah, because I need to lose. I need to maintain like under. I need to be underweight, and like I only have to lose half a pound for my like walking around weight, but I already eat pretty healthy most of the time.
Yeah, that's not easy when you're already in good shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving and all this stuff too. So.
Oh yeah. Thanksgiving there's gonna be a lot of food.
Mm-hmm. Did you fill out the sheet yet?
I did.
Sweet. Oh yeah, because you're bringing stuffing, huh?
Yes, sir. Okay. Computer's back alive.
What?
My computer's back alive.
Oh, good.
I had everything organized so well too. I'm so mad now I have to reorganize it all.
Oh, do you have like notes and stuff? You ready? You ready for your picks?
Oh no, I didn't even write notes, but I had one screen had the fight, and the other screen had Discord, and then half the screen had just the internet open for like Google searches, and my speakers were configured properly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I want to have the whole stream thing up, so, and since I don't have like a moderator for my chat, I have to be able to look at the chat that's happening live, just in case
True.
somebody says some wild shit. Yeah, I'm watching it. They seem to have really wide stances, I've noticed.
Oh, the fighters.
Yeah. What do you like? I wonder what YouTube does if you have a bunch of fucking insane people in your chat. Like it says, remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Like how am I supposed to do that?
I don't think they really do a lot of that though.
Okay.
Like YouTube's pretty lax.
Okay. Oh. It's funny that Isaiah wussed out.
It's not like he like really had to like come with anything prepped. I didn't.
I didn't either. Yeah, I don't know. Isaiah, well, you're not watching this, but if you were watching this, if you watch it in the future, you're a bitch, okay?
Pretty.
I'm watching this boxing thing. Yeah, they do have really wide stances. One of my coworkers is watching it, and she's like, "Why are their stances so fucking wide, bro?" One guy's name is Mario Barrios, and it's got to be a fake name, right? Let's look this up. Like it's got to be like a pseudonym or something, you know? Mario.
It seems like that at least.
Barrios. No, it's real. Mario Thomas Barrios. Why would they do that to him?
Why would they do that to him?
So, what's this recount thing that's going on?
I don't really know anything about it.
Okay. Let's look. Harris recount. 4 days ago. A fundraiser initiative associated with Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign has designated a portion of contributions to support a recount account, revealing a strategic. Oh my goodness, blocked me. Yeah, it's all things. What do you call it? It's all like 4 days ago, but there's been no update. That's very weird.
Maybe nothing's happening.
Yeah. Maybe it's just not. Maybe it was just in case there needed to be a recount, but who could know? Ugh.
But they are talking about a recount in Pennsylvania for Senate.
Oh, just for the Senate?
Because the race is within a 5% margin, which triggers an automatic recount.
Gotcha. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out my mic. I'm wondering if you're gonna get reverb in there, but
Yeah.
I'll figure that out when we start.
Supposed to check YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Going on YouTube.
Well, you are gonna get reverb. But see if it like goes infinite. If you know.
Yeah, it looks like you are streaming.
How's it going? Huh? I can't hear you. You muted yourself. Oh, okay. What?
I was just testing it.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Do you hear like a reverb or like infinite reverb or anything when you talk?
No.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Oh, show me how Blue Sky works. What the fuck do I do here?
It's like the same thing as Twitter, honestly.
Yeah, I know. Okay, but like besides you, like I don't know who to follow or anything.
Okay, there's follow lists. I'll grab one for you in a second. Okay. I wonder if Blue Sky has like a web app. It does.
It does?
Yeah.
Alright, that's way easier than using my phone.
Dude, it's fucking hilarious that the Onion bought InfoWars.
Oh my god. Oh. And then the Sandy Hook parents got to determine who they sold it to, and they purposely sold it to the Onion, which I think is even better. Oh my god. That's so funny.
So are these follow lists? I'm gonna try to find one for you.
I followed Destiny because apparently he has an account.
He just made it the other day. I don't think he's really switched over yet, but
Okay. Mark Cuban. Let's follow Mark Cuban. David Pacman. They don't have any like things you can put in your bio or anything either.
I think they're gonna, expand on what's available.
Yeah, I guess I could put my bio. I guess I could. What is it called? Philco at DGG has followed me. Okay.
How can I share this? Share feed. Okay. Copy it to clipboard. Yeah. And then this one.
Cool. It's on my what do you call it? It's on my link tree now. My Blue Sky.
Cool. Okay, so I DM'd you on Blue Sky links to feeds related to Destiny actually, but a lot of the people are on those. And then the second one, which is DGG Verse, it has under About, it has a bunch of the best people like that you would want to follow.
Oh, people are following me. I think because I followed Destiny, all of a sudden everyone's following me. Hashtag DGG. They're like riding their colors, bro. It's so interesting. All right. Yeah, these Dalaban people are following me. Fuck it, I'll follow them back. Sometimes I get a little scared of them, but you know. Am I wrong? Okay.
You're not wrong at all.
All right. Is the chat missing? Yeah, there we go. What is it? Is this like the Dalaban? This is the okay. So I just pinned.
They're like the feeds that you can pin and then follow them.
Okay, cool.
And then the one that's DGG verse on you can on the about section, it has a bunch of people you can follow there.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Like David Pacman's there, Project Liberal's there.
Yeah.
Other people are there.
Brianna Wood's been a little bit whack lately. She's riding the Israel real hard, and I think she needs to chill out a little bit. This I saw this meme. I'm scrolling and I saw this meme. It says 1980s GOP, and it's like Reagan like all muscled out, and it's like the Soviets won't expand 1 inch, and then modern GOP, and it's like Trump's little hair on a doge, and he's like, the NATO is to blame for Putin's invasion. True.
That's freaking amazing.
I do think it's kind of insane, to be completely honest, that like we become like Soviet lovers. Like half of our party is just like these Soviet simps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is Dylan on here? I love Dylan.
Doesn't look like he's made one yet.
No. What about loner? There's a lonerbox.bisky.bluesky.social, but kind of seems like someone just took the name just to be a dick. Like this, it's like not a set up account. I'm gonna follow them anyways. It's okay. And harass them when they try to charge.
They might have just made it as a placeholder until they have time to make it to. Or Lonerbox may have just made it until he has time to actually build up his profile.
Where's Francisco? I don't have my bisexual lighting on. And he keeps, every time I say that, and he's like, "You can't say that. You're not bisexual." I'm like, "Why? Who cares?"
Hey, he gets the pass because you're married to her.
Because what?
You get the pass.
Oh my god. Oh, I was talking to somebody. It it wasn't Lefty QAnon, um, but it was somebody, and I was talking about how I can't vote for Jill Stein because I'm white, and I can't vote for somebody who's gonna make like every colored person's life worse, like every like person of color's life worse in my life. And she's like, I give you the pass, like you can do it. And I was like, okay, like that's like giving me the N-word pass. It doesn't mean anything. Like,
But it's worse than the N-word pass because you would be actively be harming people by
yeah, I
voting for
know,
Jill
yeah, exactly.
Stein. Jesus.
Yeah. Uh,
Jeez.
we do need to get one day where we all get on here and fucking play Among Us or some shit.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Frank just joined the chat or joined the group Discord, so he'll probably be in. There he is.
Amazing.
What's up, mofo?
He doesn't know what's going on. He's on his phone. Oh, he's on his phone.
You're on your phone, you freaking loser.
Isn't Pertinax like the good dragon in Skyrim or something?
Stop bullying me for being on my phone. I'm gonna bully you guys for choosing this fucking platform.
This platform is great.
Discord? It's like the best platform. What do you mean?
It's the worst one. This is where I ran all the NFT scams, and I have PTSD from that.
Don't fall for NFT scams.
I didn't, but I remember what it was like in 2021, where everyone and their mother was running a rug pull scam, and that. Yeah, look, I'm gonna figure out how to put this on my laptop because this is lame.
You just gotta download it. It's fine. Let's check in on the boxers. See if Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are fighting.
Not yet. There's still a couple more fights.
Oh my god, bro.
This fight right now is more real fight than the fucking Jake Paul fight's gonna be.
Is it?
Yeah. Jake Paul.
The two Hispanic guys fighting? One's
Yeah.
pink? Okay.
And then the girl fight's gonna be way better than the Paul fight.
Okay. Oh, they're doing really good.
Because they're actually legit boxers fighting for a championship.
Yeah.
Jake Paul's just a bottom tier pro at best who gets all this fucking hype for nothing.
You should fight him, Noah.
Hell no.
What do you mean? I thought you were gonna beat him up.
I'm not a. Hey, I'm. Just because I talk shit on people treating him like he's the best boxer in the world doesn't mean that I'm as good as him. I think he could be bottom tier pro. I could not be bottom tier pro.
You could.
Any bottom tier pro would destroy me.
You could if you were like a billionaire.
yeah. If I didn't have to work and could just train all day every day. Yeah. Wow. The unofficial card has the fight actually pretty close.
Yeah, I tried to ask you earlier. They have pretty wide stances in this for boxers, I feel like.
Yeah. I think they're kind of lanky guys. That might be part of it.
Gotcha.
They've got long legs. I'm wondering if that's why.
It seems like it'd be hard to get any power in your punches with your hands like that. Or I'm sorry,
True.
not with your hands, your feet like that.
And that might be true to some extent, but they may be valuing mobility over power punches.
That's fair. They basically have a wrestling footing right now. George Santos is on Blue Sky.
What a fucking idiot.
Oh my god.
He's such a piece of shit. Superintendent in Oklahoma said, "The Bible's back in Oklahoma's classroom. We are getting our kids back on track." But he didn't apostrophe the S in Oklahoma's as in possessive.
My god. Holy shit. Aniha posted a cute thing on Insta. She was like, "We're almost in 2025, but I loved you since 2016." Who's FQ?
Francisco.
Oh, wait. Why do you have Pertinax on his other one?
He must have changed his account.
Oh my god, what a pussy. There it is.
I've arrived.
Hi. You got the Christmas lights up already.
Dude, I have so much more than that. I got a wreath. I put up my Christmas tree.
Oh my
So
god.
proud of myself.
You fucking heathen, okay? It hasn't even been Thanksgiving yet.
I couldn't resist it. I couldn't resist the temptation.
She needed some serotonin.
I think that the contrast between the rain outside and the lights looks really nice.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah, no, I mean, growing up, we didn't, when it came to Christmas, we weren't messing around, and I guess I miss that a lot. So I try to replicate that here to the best of my. Yeah. As I was logging off, I heard you guys talking about the Mike Tyson fight. My friend sent me a message. He was like, "I want to bet you that Mike Tyson is gonna beat the crap out of Jake Paul or Logan Paul, whoever the hell it is." And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna make that bet because I agree with you. I'd have to bet against what I think happened for that to happen. I don't know. I don't know that much about fights.
He's 58 years old. If he doesn't win in the first round, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, I want Tyson to win, but I would have taken that bet. I would have bet against Tyson.
Really?
I think that's a safer bet, personally.
Yeah. I think
It's
Mike Tyson should have asked for it to be a bare knuckle boxing fight. Should have been sure we'll do it, but bare knuckle boxing.
I mean, it's already a joke. Why not make it more of a joke?
They already have bare knuckle boxing. There's a real league for bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be like boxing, and it's not. It's a fucking joke.
The weirdest part about the bare knuckle boxing is they have special gloves. Like they do have gloves on, but they just the knuckles are cut out. Okay, it's like a boob window, but for boxing gloves. Yeah, I don't know why they don't just tape their hands and then just punch the fuck out of each other. You know, that was a big thing when they started mixed martial arts. They wanted to have no gloves, and all the fucking people who didn't know what the fuck they're talking about were like, no, you have to have gloves. Because like, think about it. If you can fucking smash your shin into someone's head, you think that's better or worse than your fist being smashed into their head?
True.
Francisco, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You need some coffee?
Shifting some stuff around. No, I usually don't drink coffee this late, even if it's decaf, because it'll get in my head that I'm drinking coffee, and then I won't be able to go to sleep. I am pulling together my thesis for a very boring journal article that I am submitting. Maybe that's why I yawned.
No, you're good. You're just making sure you're okay. I mean, we don't start till 7, so it's gonna go for a while. So.
What are you guys gonna talk about? The same things you guys? I thought you guys like changed the topic slightly or something.
No, we didn't change the topics. It's the same 3 topics. Yeah, right now we're just chilling. I told everyone they could like hop in and chill and try to talk to us or whatever until then, but it doesn't look like we're gonna get anybody, but it's okay. So yeah, I need to change your perms actually too now that I'm here.
You guys should put Miranda on this.
No.
We'd start yelling at it.
This is a liberal podcast. Sorry.
He's like far to the left of all of us.
Yeah, I know.
Which is funny because she's so involved in California government, which is probably closer to us than her.
Yeah, it always is.
Okay. Miranda. I love her. She's awesome.
There was one time at Noah's birthday party at his house, or it was housewarming party. She was there, and we freaked her out because we well, she was talking about guns and how no one should own a gun ever, and like it's really scary. And we were like, oh, like, yeah, but like I feel like oh no, it ended up turning into a conversation about concealed carry versus open carry. And I was like, well, I think open carry is safe.
Hey, yo.
Hi. Because then no one is surprised by the gun, right? If you
Yeah.
then at that point, if you fuck around with somebody with a gun in their hand, like, okay, bro, like what did you expect to happen? Like, I don't, it's not like someone pulls, like, it's not a surprise. And she's like, well, I just don't want to see it, like I mean, it just makes me really nervous, and I hate it, and I just seeing them makes me really scared. And I looked at her, she's super drunk, and I go, because we live in a state with concealed carry, any one of us could, in theory, be like every single one of us could be strapped, and you wouldn't know it right now. And she just was like, So.
Wait, who's the green one?
That's Isaiah, the coward.
Got it.
Who doesn't?
You guys haven't started yet, have you?
No, we haven't.
You
We're starting at 7.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm at the gym right now. I'm just
okay.
working out.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you care if I hang out here muted? Just like to listen.
I eventually I'm gonna, what do you call it? I'm gonna switch to the podcast.
Post it.
I'm gonna switch to the podcast thing. So
Mhm.
you just have to switch to it, and then the whole point is that you switch to the podcast thing, and you can listen, but you can't.
Yep.
Yeah, but you can't
So,
talk.
okay. So I'll be like server muted.
Yeah, you will.
Okay, perfect. That makes it. That's good. Okay, I won't accidentally unmute myself.
Yeah.
Cool. What were you guys just talking about? Concealed carry.
Yeah. Concealed carry versus open carry.
Our lovely friend Miranda.
Yeah.
Dang, that guy's bleeding.
Oh, he's bleeding?
Yeah, the one in the pink shorts. Can't remember who that is. He's got blood going everywhere. Dang, these guys have really beat each other up.
Yeah. Well, they don't have
They're
the big,
both bloody.
They don't have the big
Holy.
Rock'em Sock'em robot gloves on, so that usually helps.
Is,
fucking Sock'em Boppers.
Is the is the fight between the two shithead supremes happening at 8 p.m.?
I don't know when it's happening. We probably won't get to see it, so or we'll be talking about lib shit.
Last I saw it was 8 p.m., but
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It'll probably be closer to 9, is my guess.
Yeah.
sounds good. I'll be watching it if I can find any way to.
It's just on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's live on Netflix right now.
Whoa. Whoa. Did he just do that?
Isaiah. I
Yeah.
know you've already watched Loner Box, but you just remind all your emotes and your emotiveness and stuff just reminds me a lot of him sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. It does have loner box vibes.
That's really funny. The first time I actually watched him, I was like, "Am I watching myself right now? Is it
so
like
funny.
half Lebanese Isaiah? Like, what?"
Yeah. It's so funny.
It really is. It's actually kind of crazy.
Oh.
The funniest part is we even look similar.
No.
Kind of.
No, not even. You don't even look related.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
some similarities.
I think there's some similarities.
What's the similarity, Noah?
I think some of their facial hair can be similar.
Their facial hair.
Oh yeah, facial hair is definitely similar. Hair is similar. Facial structure is kind of similar.
I don't know.
Kind of. He's got a nicer jaw than I do. That's for sure.
You think?
I think so.
Don't worry, I like your jaw.
Oh, Pookie. The things I can't say because I'm at the gym right now.
Time is it right now? 6:54. Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna hop in, so. We can do events now.
Jesus Christ.
What?
They like hugged when the fight ended and just bleeding on each other.
Oh yeah, that's listen, that's part of the thing, okay?
True. It's just more than usual. These are both tough motherfuckers, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Where'd Francisco go?
I don't know. Maybe we ran to the bathroom because that's what I did when I muted.
Gotcha. Taking a big shit before you start. He's squeezing it out right now on the toilet.
You gotta have all distractions gone when you're entering
True.
the arena of intellectual contest.
What was that?
Clearing my throat. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold.
Oh. Apparently, walking pneumonia is going around,
Oh yeah, someone told me that.
and allegedly, people got it from raw milk. So RFK's already getting us.
All right, RFK is raw milk.
Yeah, and now my favorite part about the raw milk thing is now people are saying like, oh well, you know what you got to do to make the raw milk not get you is you got to boil it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like
Cases
pasteurizing milk is a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, fucking Washington Post. Okay. Yep. Oh my god. All right, Francisco's back. All right, let's hop into the podcast channel. Isaiah, we're moving to the podcast channel, so that no one can like randomly pop in and harass us.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Francisco, can you turn on your? There, thank you.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of looking forward to the harassment, but
No,
Yes.
no.
this is the same thing.
That's why I need a podcast where we just the libs talk, okay? Just the adults in the room talk. None of these fucking.
I mean, do you have like Tate fanboys coming in here all the time, or what?
Noah debated my father on Trump versus Biden, so we have people in this Discord that are conservatives.
But most are if they're not liberals, they're far lefties.
Yeah.
You should send out invites to all kinds of people. You know, people that have seen a Sasquatch, Islamic extremists, moon landing deniers. Like, spice it up. Bring all of them in here.
Anybody's allowed to come join the Discord. Just not everyone's allowed to speak in the podcast server or the podcast channel.
But I think Frank wants those people on this show.
Well, that's what the pre-show is for all the freaks.
Oh, well, they didn't show.
Okay.
They're gone.
Hold on. We gotta start recording.
They came to us with tears in their eyes, and they said,
check.
Who did?
the Sasquatch lovers.
Show recording. Hold on. 11:15.
They came to us with tears in their eyes, and they said,
Check.
Who did?
All right, cool. We're good. All right. Hello, everyone at home. Okay. Welcome to Rhetorical Rumble. This one's a special one. It's just the libs this time. Okay. I can't do it. I can't deal with these fucking leftoids. I can't deal with the Trump supporters. We're gonna hug box today. Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about 3 different topics. It's the 15th of November, 2024. So if you're watching this the day after, I mean, as you know, Kamala Harris lost the election. Everyone here is very sad, and we're gonna talk about what went wrong. We're gonna talk about what rights is Trump taking away, and we're gonna talk about who should be the nominee in 2028, and probably some other things, you know. And we'll probably argue over the last one a little bit. So hi, I'm Dutra-Smith. If this is your first time here, the other guests can introduce themselves. Noah, you start.
I'm Noah. Known Davin for forever. Interested in politics. Obviously, one of the biggest libs in the server. So there you go.
All right, Francisco.
Hey everyone, my name's Francisco. Many people here call me Frank, whatever makes your heart smile. I am a dude who lives in Seattle, and it's not often that I get to chat with people that have different political views, which is what I thought this was going to be, but it actually is just a replication of what I'm used to. They're just talking to people I agree with, which is nevertheless a useful exercise, especially in the aftermath of an event like this.
I promise we will get people to argue with. Just this one, I need a break. I can't.
I think that's for the best.
I don't want to snap on some poor person.
Emotions are raw, and I think we need a conversation where we all decompress and try to evaluate what led to this disastrous outcome is more than warranted.
All right, let's get into the first topic. So the first topic is what do you think went wrong with Kamala Harris's campaign, or the Democratic campaign in general, we'll call it, because there's kind of 2 campaigns. Let's try to focus on not Monday morning quarterbacking and at first, and then we'll get into all the hindsight is 2020 for everything. So if anyone wants to start.
Sure, I'll start then.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think Kamala Harris ran a fine campaign. I think it was strong. I think she made a great VP choice, and I think she did what she could with what she had. What went wrong, in my opinion, was one, Republican talking points and misinformation is convincing, and the whole right-wing media unequivocally backs Donald Trump without question in almost every circumstance, and inflation. Those are the 2 reasons, and inflation largely caused by an emerging economy from COVID, which shattered our economy. There was going to be inflation no matter who was president, and under Joe Biden's leadership, we've managed to bring inflation down tremendously. But Republicans telling you that it's still high happen to be more convincing than the facts, and I don't know if anyone could have changed that.
Yeah. Francisco, anything?
Yeah, I mean, in much the same spirit, I think that just right off the bat, I think that there were 3 issues that I think the Republicans won the information war on, and that those 3 include immigration, crime stemming from immigration, and inflation. There's a fundamental disconnect between the general awareness that our population has regarding, how legislation takes effect, the fact that there's a delay between when it's signed and when it actually takes effect, notwithstanding the moment at which we start to see results that stem from those policies. And it's this talking point of, did you pay this much for gas when Trump was in office? Did you have this much, or did your groceries cost this much? And the truth is that gas prices started to skyrocket when Trump was still in office at the tail end of his term. The way that these things affect the economy it's not like they pause and they wait for whoever is going to be sitting at the Oval. But the Republicans very effectively utilize that talking point where, in order to understand how the economy actually works, you have to embody a certain degree of nuance and you have to be somewhat informed. And when you have essentially two different choices to present to the average voter, a message that is quick and easy to understand versus one that is a little bit more complex, I think that is really where the Democrats failed, because it's so obvious that Trump, I wouldn't say he even has any policies that are definite in any way. All the closest thing he's had to articulating a substantial policy is saying that he's going to increase tariffs on everyone, which is the last thing in the world that we need. I think that, yeah, they won the war with messaging. They were peddling false claims. I think the biggest one was with immigration and with something they've been running with since 2016. This idea that the people that are coming across the border are committing crimes disproportionately, despite the fact that every credible statistic tells us that is far from the case. The National Institute of Justice has, for almost a decade, demonstrated that Native population commits 3 to 4 times more crime than any immigrant, regardless of their background, whether they're documented or not, regardless of what part of the world they come from, regardless of what religion they are, regardless of their socioeconomic status. But they won the war on information because their messaging was more catchy and easier to digest.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I think that the Democrats ran a campaign for really smart people, and if you look at the map of what college educated people voted for, it's obvious. Of the college educated vote, I think there was 3 electoral votes that Trump won. There's not that many. I think it was Oklahoma and Montana and one other state or something. It was virtually nothing. So yeah, I think explaining her policies in a way that I would say non-college educated people could understand was really important. I also think that she should have known going in. We definitely know it now based on the demographic data, but you don't need to go on the Call Her Daddy podcast, okay? Those people are already voting for you, okay? You don't need to. There's no way someone watches that podcast and is like, I don't know if I'm gonna vote. I definitely don't know if I'm gonna vote for Kamala Harris. No, you're voting for Kamala Harris. That's a podcast you could have skipped, right? Especially since you missed a chance to go on Rogan because you were doing other podcasts. I also, I would say playing into the demographic data. I would say that she sent a really mixed message, because on one end she's running the most progressive campaign ever ran, and past the primaries at least, and on the other hand she's cozying up to the Cheneys and stuff, which is fine. I mean, there's no need to be rude to them. I don't like them, but but I think that it came off that she was cozying up to them just I think a little too much. And I think that sent for a lot of the left, a lot of her voter base, it sent this mixed message of she's super centrist, even though she's not. If you looked at any of her policies, she's actually more left than I would prefer, right? I think that the unrealized capital gains tax would be a travesty. Nothing across the board tariffs. That would destroy our fucking economy, right? It's ridiculous that anyone would ever even propose that. But yeah. So. What do you think?
Yeah, well, there might be some truth to that. I'm not sure how convinced I am of this idea that people may have thought she was too centrist or too left. I mean, if I don't, because when she would do appearances with Cheney, it was never about like, oh, we agree on policy. It was never about that. It was really about Cheney saying we don't have to agree with Kamala Harris on policy. What we have to agree on is democracy matters.
Yeah, but again, people don't have complex views of politics. I think it was the main takeaway of this campaign. I think
That's true, but I'm not sure I necessarily see the evidence that she wasn't like left wing enough, or people perceived her as too moderate, for example. I mean, left wing third parties didn't do particularly well this election. There's a few independent races where like a Green Party candidate like has the chance or did have the chance to play a spoiler, but it wasn't the case as much as it has been in the past.
Yeah, Jill didn't do jack this time around.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, we staved her off for 4 years. Okay, we gotta.
She'll be back.
Oh my god, she always comes back. She's like fucking Godzilla coming out of the water every 4 years.
And I don't know. I think there are a lot of people who have this perception that actually Kamala Harris is this like crazy far lefty, which is absolutely not true. She is very progressive, but the way some people see her based on right-wing talking points is very false. They think all she talks about is trans issues and her pronouns and race and gender, and that was the last thing she was talking about in her campaign. But people will tell you that's what she cared about because they heard it enough. Even moderate people who don't like Trump and didn't vote for Trump but are not so convinced about Democrats either, they have this perception in their head that Kamala Harris is this social justice warrior, only cares about identity politics person, which couldn't be further from the truth. When she was asked about even her race and gender, a lot of times her response was, it speaks for itself, and then moves on to other things.
Yeah. I would say another thing that she needed to do is take a stronger stance on Israel-Palestine. I like whatever the stance was, she needed to be stronger on it and have like a plan. And I feel like she kept just saying ceasefire, 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 which is good. I mean, I think there should be a ceasefire, obviously, but I also think that like she should have been prepared for the obvious question that I heard somebody ask her was like, okay, what happens when Israel says no to the ceasefire? And she should have been like, well then, like she should have whatever she said. Well, we can't abandon our allies, or well then fuck them. We're not gonna send them fucking weapons anymore, or whatever the answer was. She just needed to have an answer because it made her look extremely weak, and like it kind of fed into the idea that like on the world like that not that I agree with this point, but that like Trump and a lot of the people on the right were saying that she was kind of weak on foreign affairs issues, right? She'd be weak in front of other world leaders and such. No.
Your thoughts, Frank?
One thing that, first of all, I agree that she needed to be, she needed to have a more concise, defined, and decisive message on Israel and Palestine, especially given the appalling humanitarian conditions that exist in Gaza right now. And I think that I don't think that issue is any less important than anything else. I don't think that is why she did not win the election. That issue has been around long before the war in Gaza. It's not the first time that tensions and conflict like this have flared up. I will say that especially the Democratic Party's candidate, where they should align in the eyes of the Democratic voter base has never been more ambiguous than it is now. I think that this is really the first time that you have en masse major portions of the Democratic electorate challenging the commonly held paradigm of just unconditional, unequivocal support for the state of Israel, regardless of what it does, regardless of the abuses that the country perpetrates. I think that this is the first time you've seen voices within the party challenge that openly. But even with all that, I don't think that is really that's really what decided things one way or another. I think that what it really comes down to more than anything else, at least from what I have seen, is that voters didn't show up. The turnout was awful.
Yeah, I think...
and that is down to the fact that for whatever reason the campaign was not as energized, which is why I would deviate slightly from you guys on the things like the Call Her Daddy podcast, because I think that one of the really effective one of the ways in which Biden was really effective was that he successfully energized every social cleavage, because he was like, we are in the thick of the worst economic and public health disaster since the Spanish flu and the Great Depression. We need someone who is competent and not completely self-interested with fascistic delusions to lead us out of this. And he refined that message and repackaged it to turn out, I think it was, the final count was like between 81 and 84 million people. Harris got substantially less than that. And really, I think that, I mean, the statistic that really stood out to me the most, I may be off by maybe a digit or two, but I believe in counties where at least 40% of the population was white and college educated, there was a 3% difference from 2020 to 2024. And that is roughly the margin by which Harris lost the bulk of those counties to Trump. And I think that, that matters. It wasn't just the Republicans that beat us in this election. It was also the couch.
Yeah, I agree. I also do think that, unfortunately, her being a black woman did play some role in this election as well.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's also just we're talking about a post-pandemic context in which there's a natural decline in voter turnout from the record highs in 2020, because there is less of a feeling of imminent doom like there was then, where the Democrats, for better or worse, utilized the messaging. You really, there is, I guess, like, there's a lot to lose if this continues, and we're seeing it. People are dying. Whereas now it's the Republicans, their message was, there's a lot to gain. We're at rock bottom now, and there's a lot to gain. And yeah, I mean, I think that,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about campaigning with Liz Cheney. I think that a lot of the energy that you saw in like Metro Atlanta, for instance, where you have a lot of progressive voters, people that feel that they are now on the front lines of our time's civil rights fight. You alienate a lot of people when you do that. And of course, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head on the strategic calculus of this, like on which side do we stand more to gain, with which side do we stand more to gain, rather. And so, yeah, I think that no matter what it was, the campaign was not as energized, and that had an impact.
Yep, I agree. I also think that somebody in the Democratic Party or Biden himself should have given her carte blanche to just talk shit about him. Should have just said, when someone says, what would you do different, tell them what you would do different. I don't care. We need to win this election. I'm fucking 900 years old. Okay, I'm the fucking crypt keeper now. Okay, I'm retiring. Okay, I stepped down. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I 100% think that was a huge strategic mistake for her to be like, I wouldn't change anything. Like, even if you wouldn't, say something. Say, oh well, I would have done it all faster, because we're not gonna get relief till next year, and that's not enough. We needed relief a year ago, right? Even if that's not true.
Yeah.
Right? It makes people feel better.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge misstep when she was asked that question point blank. Was it on The View? I don't remember where she was asked that.
I think she's been asked that question a couple times.
Yeah, well, it was yeah, definitely wrong when you have such a big portion of the electorate falling for these disinformation campaigns to be like, nope, more of the same. Whatever they're telling you, we're feeding you. It's going to be more of the same. So naturally, yeah.
Yeah, somebody. Biden should have just been like, "You have my blessing. I don't care what you fucking say. Just get elected."
Mm-hmm.
Noah's laughing. Am I wrong, Noah?
I don't disagree. It's just I'm laughing because it's pathetic and sad that you have to lie about these things to win, when running on Joe Biden's record is actually a fantastic thing. The most pro-labor president we've had since FDR, the guy who's brought down wildly increasing inflation back down to normal levels. I mean, that's a record I would be proud to run on, but because the American electorate is so fucking incompetent, you've got to feed them things to make their fifis feel better.
Yeah, we're in the vibes era.
What does fifis mean? Please explain. I don't know what that means.
Your feelings, but it's a way to say it in a way that that is like really condescending because they deserve it.
So I agree. I'm laughing because it's a pathetic world we live in where that's something that needs to be done.
We're in the vibes era, Noah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to some like Monday morning quarterbacking. I looking back. Okay, Biden should have dropped out so much earlier. Okay, 3 months to calibrate her campaign was not enough. Like, come on, bro. Like, all right, I watched that man shit his pants on camera. Like, come on. Like, so no one said anything. No one was like, hey, maybe we should run a primary.
No, I mean on that, I think that her campaign had the most energy right when it started, and then it kind of went like this, in terms of like hype. At least that's how I saw it.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think that's also because she was like struggling to figure out what the fuck she was doing after the first initial hype train, right? Right? She got announced. She went and debated Trump and mopped the fucking floor with him, and then she spent the rest of the campaign figuring out what her campaign was going to be. And usually you get 2 years to do that, and she had 3 months to figure out how to do that, and she needed to know before she started. Right, which again, hindsight's 2020. Right, I am Monday morning quarterbacking like a motherfucker by saying.
I mean, with the knowledge that Biden was going to drop out no matter what, I agree with you.
Yeah, this is a super Monday morning quarterback comment here. Right, we've opened it up to any criticism, even knowing the knowledge we know now. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that she should have just every single like chance she got, she should have talked shit about Trump running from her from doing a second debate with her. Every single interview, every time she's in front of a people, she needs to be like, yeah, and he ran from me because he didn't want to do a second debate. Okay, I beat him so bad in the first debate. Because again, it's vibes. You gotta act like you're the boss. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. It's sad. It really is vibes. That's all people care about.
And someone should have grabbed Tim Walz and like pissed in his gingerbread house or something. Like he can't be Santa Claus all the time. He needs to be more aggressive in his debate. He did fucking horrible.
Like I don't think he did horrible. I think he had some moments that weren't amazing, and he had some other moments where he really did really well. I wouldn't say it was a horrible debate.
Francisco, you were gonna.
It wasn't fantastic, but he had some great points. He shot down a bunch of Vance's misinformation.
Yeah, you're not thinking vibes, Noah. You gotta think vibes, okay?
Gotta think of vibes.
Yeah.
God, it's like, what? It's so counter to like my soul, but you're not wrong.
No, yeah, no. He destroyed the debate. Like he destroyed even Biden when he mumbled through the entire debate, destroyed Trump on the facts. Okay? But but that's not what politics are about in this country, Noah, okay? They're about how they make you feel in your heart.
One thing I will say, and I've mentioned to both of you before, but it's just very frustrating, and I'm glad not all of the progressive wing is doing this. But like I like a lot about Bernie Sanders, but his post-election statement about how the Democrats lost because they abandoned the working class and the labor movement is just, I think it's out of control, and it's not helpful.
It's
because
also weird because again,
if anything, that was Biden and Kamala's strongest point, was that they were so pro-labor, so pro-union, so pro-working class. That was where they were at their best. So this idea that, and I'm fine with saying they could have done more. I think that's fine. You can make that argument, and there's probably areas that I could find that I could say they could have done more for the labor movement. That's fine. But this idea that Democrats abandoned labor is just not helpful, and we've got to be doing things that are helpful. And I don't know why Bernie Sanders said that, because Bernie Sanders in general, I think, was great during the election season, was really an advocate for Harris. And even though I know they don't agree on everything. So I don't know where that's coming from, or why.
It is very weird. I don't think that she was bad on labor, but I think that it was she had the vibe that she wasn't. I've heard a lot of people say that she seemed fake. I don't understand why, because to me she seemed pretty real. She's just. I was talking to Aniha about this. So Hillary Clinton was cringe, but she was cringe like in a fake way, right? Like she was like manufactured from a factory to be the cringiest human being possible. Okay.
Yeah, Pokemon right. Go to the polls.
Yeah, exactly.
Like like that was like workshopped in some really weird focus group.
Yeah, right.
We should not come up with that.
Whereas like Kamala Harris is like your cringe aunt. Like
yeah,
she like actually is cringe deep in her heart. Okay, and it's kind of endearing to me. I don't know. like my favorite moment. People at work, because they're like super anti-gun, get so mad at me when I say this. My favorite fucking thing was when she was on Oprah and she was like, "I have a Glock, and if you come into my home, I will shoot you." I was like, based, bro. Hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sanders' main angles there were that the legislature failed to prioritize things like legislation to raise the working class. The minimum wage working class. Legislation to raise the minimum wage. He also spoke about, like in the same interview, he spoke about, I think it was like, he also spoke about the they didn't really. There was legislation on the table that to make it easier to join unions, and look, I'm I think much more sympathetic to most of Sanders' positions than like probably Noah is, but because initially when he put out that statement, I was very curious to know exactly what he meant, but I don't think that is the reason why the Democrats lost the election either. Even though I align with him on a lot of things, I also think he missed the mark on that.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. I think we kind of got everything. I feel like at this point. I think the biggest part of it was that she had 3 months to run a campaign that most people get 2 years to run. Right? If she had to make all her mistakes in 3 months. Right? If we spread all these mistakes we're talking about over a 2-year campaign. Right? No one would have noticed anything.
Maybe. There's also the reality that pretty much all over the planet, incumbent parties lost everything, everywhere, no matter which side of the aisle they're on. I guess you can think, was there any way a Democratic candidate could have won this election? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I want to skip the Trump thing for now, and I want to go to who do you guys think should be on the 2028 ticket? Or at least who do you think should be like in the primary?
I just want to preface this by saying it is really way too early to speculate, but I think it's still a fun exercise. But yeah, I mean, obviously the name with the most buzz right now is Gavin Newsom, but I think some other people that should be throwing their name in the hat include Gretchen Whitmer.
Mhm.
Definitely think that Gretchen Whitmer would be someone that has a really great angle to play. Sanders at this point is probably a little bit too old. But I could totally see another progressive voice, you know, stepping into the contest. I don't necessarily think that would be a good thing. I don't think that a varied primary is ever really great news. The last
primary?
time,
Sorry.
an extremely like varied primary that has like very distinct ideologies represented. If there's like another like dogfight between progressives and moderates, I don't think it's going to go well for us. I think it's always bad to divide the base. I think I will just say it's not good news that we don't already have an heir apparent to coalesce around.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, I think part of it is there's a lot of great upcoming rising stars in the Democratic Party, and I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing we don't have an heir apparent. But I do agree with pretty much every name Francisco mentioned. Newsom, Whitmer. I would throw Josh Shapiro in there, maybe Pete Buttigieg. I could see Bashar running, even Warnock, and and from the progressive side, I mean, maybe even Ro Khanna. But yeah, it's way too early to tell. But there's a ton of names I would be happy with. And I think there's a lot of promise in the Democratic Party. And that the key will be the vibes, right? I mean, policy-wise, there's a ton of promise. We'll see, can they match the vibes of the incompetent American people? I don't know.
All right, here's my 3 spicy takes. I think that we need to get more freaks in there. Okay. All right, because that's what's working for the Republicans. I think apparently the American electorate they love a freak show. Okay, so we need to beg, get on our knees and fillet Jon Stewart until he runs because he says he would never run. Okay, we need to get that motherfucker in a fucking campaign. Okay, Mark Cuban. I think we need to have our own billionaire, and AOC will be old enough to run, so she needs to run. Okay, we need to put them all in there. We need to have we need to cast the widest net possible. Okay, and we need to not play kingmaker and just let the people choose and just run into the general with the most popular possible candidate with the best vibes. Okay, if we have to do 20 debates to get everyone to know everyone and have everyone kick everyone's ass for fucking ever, that's what we need to do. That's my opinion.
I'm not as triggered by your choices as you were setting me up to be.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting, but not
okay.
that.
Okay. I don't know if he'd be super triggered with my picks, but yeah, I think that I don't disagree with any of your guys' picks, just to be super clear. But yeah, I think that we need to vary. I think in hindsight, obviously, I think Hillary Clinton. What is happening? Oh,
I'm not hearing anything.
I think Isaiah's emoting in the chat. But yeah, I think that Hillary Clinton fucked us in 2016 because she was like it was the beginning of the Fives era, and she was the most possible the most corporate possible candidate. Like we kind of alluded to earlier that she was just like corporately cringe, right? And I think since then we've just struggled to have a permanent candidate, like an 8-year candidate. Okay, Isaiah, please stop. And I think that yeah, since then, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like I think because Biden was supposed to be. Is Francisco the one putting the text in chat? Who is
I
doing
think it's
it?
Francisco.
Oh my god.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, and yeah, I mean it's unfortunate. Biden, if he was only like a term earlier, he could have done the full 8.
Yeah, if he
But,
ran in 2016, I think he might have beaten Trump. I think literally the only person who wouldn't have beaten Trump was fucking Hillary, fucking Hillary Clinton.
well, yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because Trump was such an unknown at that time.
Yeah.
But
Yep. And then he was supposed to be a.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree strongly that I think Biden would have beaten Trump in 2016. He had the appeal of white working class blue collar voters in the Rust Belt, and that's all. That was the difference. Where Hillary was the worst possible person to put in front of them. But it was her turn, and she paid the price as a
nation. Not even
nation.
it was her turn. She got the most votes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that Biden deliberately not running, there was definitely internal party politics that had to do with that because Biden wanted to run in 2016. That's established, but didn't. Largely to get out of Hillary's way.
Yep, he should have ran, and Obama should have been like, "You're going to be the next president," and then he would have been the next president. Yeah, but yeah,
well,
I think
as far as your picks, Davin, I mean, I'm not sure if I'd really be super in favor of any of them, but probably Jon Stewart would be the one I would be most sympathetic to. I'm not really like into the whole like, oh, let's match our billionaire with their billionaire. Even though I think Mark Cuban has some good messaging for Democrats, and if anything, maybe they could have played more into his messaging but I think the whole billionaire thing can be a bad look. As far as AOC, I do think she would be definitely alienating to a lot of the country with her being like on the more left-leaning side of Congress. I mean, I think she's become a really good congressperson. She's gonna have a really great career, as she's found a way to work with the party in ways a lot of her other squad members and people in that field like are unwilling to do. And I think that's awesome for the country. But I think her as a Democratic nominee would I just think there's too much of the country that wouldn't even consider someone of her political predispositions.
I understand.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. Okay, I'm sorry, I totally cut you off, Francisco.
No, I was just saying I strongly agree with Noah. I think like even though, like I said, I'm a little bit more sympathetic to her positions than Noah is. I think I come to the same conclusion in the sense that even if I would be fully energized by someone like AOC, I think that it's the plain reality in America in the 20s right now is that most of the country would never get behind a candidate like that, and whether or not someone thinks that's regrettable, I guess is down to the individual. I personally think it is, but of course, I mean, I strongly agree with Noah. I think she's doing good things. I really respect her willingness to challenge the system and to call established paradigms into question, but she's a little bit ahead of her time, in my opinion.
What do you think about a Jon Stewart?
I don't know. I haven't really heard of that. I'm not sure how much I buy the idea that us putting on our own theatrical candidate is the best antidote to Trump.
I will interject and say Stewart is my real pick because he actually understands how the fucking government works and understands policy and could be a competent president.
I don't know enough about him, and his political positions. I mean, I guess I would need to read it into that a little bit more, but I think I've seen him, owning conservatives on podcasts and everything. But I mean, that there's a big difference, I think, between that and becoming a marketable candidate that people will take seriously, just because I think that there's a different standard for the Democrats than there is for the Republicans. The Republicans will vote for anything that, you know, that the member berries are telling them, right? But the Democrats have a much higher standard and much more integrity, a much higher capacity for nuance and for reason. And even though it's largely normal people who may not have as firm of a grip on policy and the way the government works, who decide the general election, I think in the primaries it's a very different game. And the DNC and, you know, donors and specific demographics make a really big difference in the primary in a way that they don't in the general. And it was in the general we're appealing to the median voter. In the primaries, we're appealing to the widest net we can cast across the base. And in a base, you know, that represents a Democratic Party, I don't think you're. I think that the person who is a representative for us is going to have to be someone maybe with a more established public policy record. But I don't know. I may be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. If he's the person that can beat Trump, then, you know, God bless him. Godspeed.
Yeah, I think that our issue right now is we're having a problem where like people are like AOC was like looking at like the ballot count, and she destroyed in her district, obviously. But Trump did really well in her district, surprisingly. And she was like, "How could you vote for me and Trump on the same ballot? That doesn't make sense." It's like she didn't want to say this is a stupid thing to do, but her face said it all, right? And I think, and people were saying, well, you're real, you know, I don't want to support like the establishment and da 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 da. So like, I think we need more of these people that like don't represent the establishment, because people don't understand that there's two ways to not represent the establishment, right? And one of them is, you know, the left-leaning people, and one of them is right-leaning people. And I guarantee you both of them would like the establishment more than each other, right?
Well, I'm not sure how predictive that will be for most of the country, or even a significant part of the country, because I mean, her district, I can't remember which district it is in New York, but I do know that her district is extremely far left. The real election in her district is the Democratic primary. After that, whoever that is wins every single time.
That apparently also happened in Michigan too. Like,
yeah.
Pretty bad.
And so in that district, you're dealing with one of the most extreme left groups, voter bases of like anywhere in the country. And I don't know how well that can predict a bigger election, because are those people who voted for her and then voted for Trump, or just stayed home and didn't vote? I mean, are they? You could make the argument they're so left wing that they're not willing to vote for anyone who's not AOC or more left.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Again, this is the people that should be in the primary. This is like a discussion of people we should throw into the primary, into the meat grinder, right? Not who we think should be the nominee. I think the nominee should be whoever the most people vote for. Like, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. But I think we need more. We need more like non-normal choices, I would say. If nothing other than to make it look like we are willing to listen to you when you say you don't like the establishment or something.
I guess like what I keep coming back to is, it's not like the Democratic Party. It's not like we're strangers to candidates like that. I mean, when Marianne Williamson ran and she was talking about dark spirits and dark energies, like that didn't generate any buzz at all. Not that Stewart or AOC would ever be that silly. I just think that, like I said, there's a higher benchmark.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we had our own billionaire run in 2020. Tom Steyer, and that's what was
No,
his thing.
yeah, him and freaking Bloomberg ran.
Yeah, Bloomberg too. Tom Steyer and Bloomberg were both. I mean, Bloomberg really like his only claim to fame was just being rich. Tom Steyer had a little more like activism background, but
I mean, something else there that's also important to consider is just like the specific and unique political climate. And unique is a word I don't like to use lightly because it ensures there are very few things in the world that are unique. But there was a unique political environment. We were in the midst of a global pandemic and the worst public health emergency in our history. And in the middle of the George Floyd riots, where our country was more open to radical civil rights discourse than at any other point, preceding that and any other point since, because the George Floyd buzz dissipated pretty quickly after 2020. The calls to defund the police have been soundly and firmly rejected across the Democratic Party. But you got to remember, in 2020, that wasn't happening. That was not happening. You had not just politicians, but political commentators and influencers across the Democratic space that were having those kinds of conversations. There was a general feeling that it was time to give African Americans, specifically radical civil rights activists, and I'm not using radical as a pejorative there. I'm simply just acknowledging the fact that there is a more I guess I would call it what's the word? There is a space within civil rights discourse that is more willing to openly and explicitly reject what the United States stands for as a country at its very foundation, concerning its foundational principles, because of the legacy of slavery, because of the legacy of Jim Crow, because of the legacy of this idea that Black people in this country have never been treated equally and have never been treated fairly. And I mean, I don't align with those people. I believe it's a much more pessimistic view than we should have. But I will just say that at that time, Bloomberg was in a really poor position to be running, because this was a time when we needed someone that either embodied those ideals or had a track record of embodying those ideals, which, as much as the Republicans were peddling all this information about how Biden used to be in the KKK and all this other bullshit that nobody ever proved, it was all just like it was just the same QAnon Pizzagate bullshit. Biden does have a significant rapport with the Black community and a history of effective policy. And it's like people would point out the crime bill. The crime bill, I mean, at the time when it was passed, it was fully endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus. It was not
It was one of the most popular pieces of, like, congressionally popular pieces of legislation ever, right?
Exactly.
Almost everyone voted yes on it. Yeah.
And the piece that Biden was most like crucial in developing from that bill was the violence against women piece of the bill. Like that was like the main thing. It wasn't the drug issues with the bill that have become more controversial.
And something else that I think is very important is there was a time in this country where there was a great reluctance to criticize the apartheid regime in South Africa. And Biden, you can find videos on YouTube, right now. You can go on and find him. I think it's the Foreign Relations Committee. It might be the Arms Committee or whatever that committee's called. But where he is passionately rebuking South Africa and advocating for total divestment. And he was largely singled out for that. And, that played a role as well in outreach to the African American community. Nowadays we live in a time where, it's pretty taboo to criticize anything Israel does. But you have people that are willing to say something for the first time ever, really. But yeah, I mean, my point is that Biden was ahead of his time as it pertains to apartheid South Africa in much the same way that I think Bernie Sanders is ahead of his time now and is willing to criticize Israel. But I think that Yeah, I mean, Biden had a lot going for him at the perfect moment, as the George Floyd stuff was at its peak, while the public health emergency was at the forefront of everyone's minds and destroying and killing so many people. So yeah, I think that the environment was just right, but we can't count on that, and we need someone that's going to be more versatile. And I'm not sure that like this like silly candidate is going to be able to capture that.
Yeah, I just also think these three people are competent, right? So like Mark Cuban, like he talks about policy. He goes on podcasts and talks shit to people all the time. Like he clearly has some understanding of policy, right? And he seems like he also runs his companies like competently. He's not one of those billionaires who like starts a bunch of businesses and only makes money when he rips people off. Hint, hint on who I might be talking about. Yeah, I mean, he made a thing called cost plus drugs, and the only thing that does is they make generic versions of drugs for as cheap as possible, so that they can sell to people. They can undersell like the expensive versions of them, right? So he's like
Cool.
helping people a lot, right? And, yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's a smart guy. I trust him to surround himself with a bunch of experts, right? So yeah, I think you should hop in. Okay. Will he win? Probably not. It's probably going to be Gavin Newsom who gets the nomination. Okay. And we need to feed Gavin Newsom all like he needs to come in and have just malice in his heart. Okay. I think that's the if he's too nice, he just comes off as this like corporate weenie. We need him to like channel the same energy he gave Meatball Ron in their debate the entire campaign. Okay, he like how like Trump is only popular because he owned the libs. We need to own the cons. Okay, that's what we own the cons the entire fucking campaign. That's what the Gavin Newsom needs to. That's how he gets through a general. That's my personal opinion.
I agree. I think he needs to be aggressive and take initiative. Not that he's not doing that, but
right. Yeah. I'm definitely going to be looking for. A lot of these people were watching to be nominees and how they handle the first 2 years of the Trump presidency in their positions of government. And I'm hopeful that they're going to fight against him as hard as humanly possible and do everything they can to stymie every little thing he's doing. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that I think that again, Gavin Newsom has the potential to be a really good candidate or a really bad candidate. I think that we're past the point in which a corporate candidate can win. Okay. And sometimes he does come off as a corporate candidate, and we need to not do that. Luckily, we have most of the homeless people, and we're gonna vote for him no matter what. But yeah, he really doesn't like homeless people, and that's not good. Yeah, I think clearing out the homeless encampments in LA, but personally helping clear out the homeless encampments in LA is like not a good look, But I don't know.
probably yeah. That's a complicated question because for progressives, yeah, not a good look. But I think that for appealing to the median voter, I think that someone like Gavin Newsom probably prioritizes pretty heavily, proving that liberal cities are not these like cesspools of homelessness and drug use and whatever. And so I think that because that's one of the most effective talking points that the MAGAs have. And unfortunately, yeah, the situation largely created by the housing crisis in this country is appalling, and that in of itself is in large part because people can't afford to buy a home. And why can't people afford to buy a home? Well, because the wages have not kept up with the pace of living costs, and really it's down to economics, but that's not a calculation that most people are going to make.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand. Like, if you look at the minimum wage increase, no one voted to increase them, or I guess it was close, but people didn't vote to increase the minimum wage in California, and that's not going to help anybody, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, like, we also voted for no bonds for building more housing. So I don't know what people fucking expect. The only two ways, increase spending power or increase housing supply, are the only two real ways to drop home values, right? But fuck me, I guess. I'm just informed.
Uh,
Hmm?
Yeah, the bonds for low-income housing not passing that hurts. That hurts.
Yep, that's because
Minimum wage could still win though.
it can still win.
It's a 1 point gap. Well, 49 to 51, so 2 point gap. 93% of the votes in. So
Oh,
it could
shit.
it could go either way. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm hoping that passes. I mean, I think that whatever we decide the minimum wage is, we need to permanently tie it to inflation after that.
Well, it is currently actually. This would just boost it. This bill or this prop would keep it tied to inflation, but boost it up and base its inflationary increase on a new base level.
Okay, sweet. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I was worried that like it was like not gonna get renewed. Like the inflation increase was not gonna get renewed. Yeah, that's good. The idea that like no one ever tied it to inflation is kind of silly to me.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the federal minimum wage and why it's. I mean, there's problems with California's minimum wage, even though it is tied to inflation. But that's why the federal minimum wage is such a disaster.
yeah, I mean, up here in Washington State, the measure to repeal the capital gains tax, it failed by like a lot.
That's good.
Yeah, there was also, yeah, I mean, these trends, I mean, even across blue states are not hard to predict, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that the thing about it is a lot of people like to say they're progressive, and then when it comes down to it, they're not. When they get in the voter booth and it's anonymous, they're the first people to be like, yeah, fuck those homeless motherfuckers. Okay? These progressive people, a lot of them, like just like with the end the slavery thing in California, when we're ending slave labor in prisons, okay? They get in that booth and they're like, yeah, rehabilitative justice is great. We love rehabilitative justice. No one should be enslaved. And they get in there and then they think of the worst crime. They think of like the worst crime they can think of. And they're like, yeah, actually, fuck that guy. I hope that guy's a fucking slave, you know? And that's not good. That's what we would call bad. They're not living their principles. Okay, if you're not really willing to like make sure that the worst criminal you know is being rehabilitated, like you don't believe in rehabilitative justice. You just like to virtue signal about it.
And you can still vote for these changes, even if you don't think it is slavery. I definitely don't think there's a good argument that that would be slavery, but I still think it's a really bad policy, and it's not in coordination with legislative intent, and it should absolutely be changed. And work should be compensated fairly if a prisoner chooses to do it.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also think that strategically, Democrats, whoever thinks they're about to run for president, okay, actually any Democrat, I changed my mind, any Democrat who has any constituency in the United States, okay, anytime someone suggests something that's going to help a red constituency, your answer is no. Okay, there's a hurricane going on in Florida. Oh, you want extra FEMA funds? Fuck you. Okay, let the Republicans help you. I think that we need to stop bailing out Republicans when they vote in Republicans. All right, you want Republicans to govern you? Have fucking fun. Bye bye. Okay,
yeah.
have fun with the hurricane.
Yeah, I know that's a hard ass stance, and I've always been proud to be from a state like California and other states, like California, like New York, and stuff like that, that are very left leaning states that have been the states that keep the welfare queen states, like Oklahoma, Alabama, Kentucky, you name it, alive. We fund their lives there because their economy, due to their extreme right-wing governments, are in shambles. But I've definitely starting to lean more to your side of how to handle this, Davin, where I think you need to say fuck them at this point, because as long as blue states keep lessening the blow of their horrible electoral choices, they will not have any negative repercussions, or not enough negative repercussions to realize what they're voting for is disastrous.
I mean, isn't it out of our hands though most of the time?
No, we give California gives way more to the federal government than it takes in. I think it's like a $375 billion surplus that we get.
Well, a lot of
No,
that
I know
is
that,
in
but like
federal taxes, right?
But like, I mean, how the taxes we pay to the federal government, it's not like we can like choose whether or not we pay them.
No, there are certain funds that California does give to the federal government that Gavin Newsom's talking about withholding.
There's that but you're right, Francisco, that a lot of the money just comes from federal taxes, and there's no way to stop that.
Yeah.
But there are, especially when it comes to disaster relief, individual states will send resources, first responder teams, things like that's in their surplus and stock to these states that can't handle the disaster. So those are other areas that
I see.
Maybe it's time to start considering: do we go help a Florida who is voted for a man who's trying to destroy democracy? I don't know.
Well,
so yeah, I think
go.
I would be curious to know about what percentage of the funds come from these programs that Newsom is planning on saying no to, because if it's a drop in the bucket, I mean, I don't really think it's going to reach the level of desired impact where we're sending a message and people feel the effects and are like, holy shit, we got to stop voting for these people because they're not doing anything for us. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like,
I also don't think that, like, if in theory there's something that every blue state already has state laws for, right? That's protected, right? And red states don't have a state law to protect them for. Let's say it's like some labor law or whatever that fucks over workers, right? And don't suggest anything nationally. We already got our shit covered. Don't fix it until a Democrat's has the presidency. Purposely leave problems unsolved, okay? Because this just became a giant trolley problem. Because if the Republicans get a supermajority, we're fucked. The states can't protect themselves, okay? We can't protect our citizens of our states if they get a supermajority. They can just start like passing constitutional amendments or reversing constitutional amendments, and we're just at their mercy.
I mean, yeah, the really huge problem fundamentally is also just like the structure of the Senate. It's almost undemocratic the way that it concentrates power and distributes representation. I mean, Wyoming has, I think it's like 18 times more representation than California.
I actually disagree with you. I think the Senate's the best one. I think that the worst one is the cap on the House, because the House is supposed to be the one that's like representative of population. I think the fact that the House is capped is insane. And then the Electoral College I don't think is very good either, but it's not as bad as the cap on the House.
The reason I think that the Senate structure needs to change is mostly in terms of appointments, because the thing is that regardless of what regardless of whatever constitutional principle is in place, which, at the time it made more sense. Nowadays, just because of the obvious difference in the demographics, it doesn't make sense that a group of less than 1 million people in one of the least educated states that consistently votes for some of the most abhorrent policies in the nation gets to put 2 representatives on Capitol Hill, while the collective will of 40 million people is represented by the same amount. And in that sense, they are voting on things that are directly affecting our rights. I mean, the House not, confirm Supreme Court justices. The House does not vet agency appointments, and it is precisely because of this that I think that the Senate should also have proportional representation. I agree that it should have larger districts, but I mean, I don't know if it really is just politically feasible for this to continue, because you're going to keep. I mean, the fact that we have to battle the Republicans for this. The fact that we have to battle the Republicans for influence in the Senate is always going to be a major hurdle, and often, the obstacle that kills any effort to pass common sense, life-changing legislation, largely because a significantly smaller minority of people are dictating that. So I think that the Senate's construction definitely needs to change.
Okay, I see that point. I think my main point to keeping the Senate is that there's this idea that, like, before we pass national legislation, every state should have some amount of say into if it passes, right? Versus just like with the House drafting the bill, it's just like it is the proportion of the population, right, is really what determines what goes to the Senate to get voted on, right? So it's kind of the filter to make sure that, like, us city folk don't destroy these urban or these rural areas with our city legislation or whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I would also love to see the Supreme Court someday revisit the landmark ruling that, I don't know if you remember what it was. No, I don't remember it. I mean, we learned about it last year, and I think it was like I think we mentioned it in both Con Law and in Civ Pro, where it was like the Supreme Court determined, a much more liberal court than the one in place today, mind you, determined that gerrymandering is not unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Which I would love to see the court reinterpret that, because I mean, have you seen like a map of Texas's districts? It's insane. It's criminal.
We looked at
it is deliberate.
We looked at Illinois at work the other day, and there's one that is like this giant weird U shape.
Yeah. I mean, it is deliberate voter suppression. Yeah. And I think the sooner that we as a nation learn to recognize that, the better off we're all going to be.
Yeah, I think that the district should be a lot more squarish. I know that, like, sounds bad. A lot of people are like, well, you need to gerrymander because you wanna get all the Latinos in the same district, and it's like, why? Who cares? We're all supposed to be Americans, okay? Like, why? We don't need a district that's just Latinos, okay? We need everyone to get along.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, they're a majority of the country now, officially, okay?
I've never even heard anybody say that, but I think that's absolutely absurd.
Yeah,
because they're forgetting they're forgetting the main purpose of voting, which is to, derive substantial and impactful public policy from our representatives. And I think having a district that is Latino just for the hell of it, I think is those people don't have their priorities straight, if that's what they're actually saying.
I agree with you. Okay. I'm also, as a mixed person, just don't like. I don't think that idea, like the idea of just like having a representative that just represents the Latino people in your state, has any value. Okay, so you can draw a big fucking spiral shape in your state, so you can get all the neighborhoods with just the Latino people. Like
yeah, I mean, if we lived in a parliamentary system, that would make sense, but we don't. And
no.
I'm sure if we had a parliamentary system, there would be a Latino party. But honestly, given how fragmented opinion is even in that community, I don't even know if it would make sense to have a Latino party. I don't know who the hell would vote for it either. I think it's just so dumb. I mean, what is a policy that we universally agree on? I mean, I don't think that there's anything at this point, because there are even like Latinos that are absurdly racist against other Latinos. So it just doesn't. The Obama coalition, as I like to call it, I think is on its last legs.
Yep, I got you. I don't disagree with that. I think that the gerrymandering is insane. And then the cap on the House is it's such an egregious fucking like breach of like the spirit of the Constitution, in my opinion. Like the whole point of the House was to be proportional to the population. Like what the fuck? Right?
Yeah, there needs to be more House members, because even with the smaller states having only one rep, they're still being overrepresented in the House.
Oh yeah, dude. Like seriously, like if you literally just gave Wyoming one rep, there is no like mathematical proportion that is going to give California the representation it needs. I keep picking on Wyoming only just because it's like I think one of the smallest or the smallest state in terms of population, but it's absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, land doesn't vote. Land doesn't vote. Land doesn't vote for all the fucking idiots on my Facebook feed posting that stupid ass graphic from all these MAGA pages
I know.
that has like it's like I'm like you cannot possibly be that ignorant, but I guess you are.
Dude,
and
that graphic circulates every election cycle with like the most of the counties being red. It drives me fucking crazy.
I'm just like you're an imbecile. I can't contain my frustration.
No, I
think another thing I'm really pissed off about is foreign policy now. This is not good news.
Oh, with Trump's appointments, you mean?
But also just like his worldview is awful.
Yeah, we'll use this as a transitionary segment. We'll talk about his worldview and his cabinet appointments before we talk about all the rights we're about to lose. Yeah, I think that he loves dictators. It's my.
I mean, he's like, we're gonna have it solved like super fast and all that stupid shit. It's like really all he's saying is that he's just gonna tell the Ukrainians, I'm gonna pull all the funding for all of your weapons and all the aid we're giving you. You have to sit down at a table, shake hands with Putin, cede the Donbass, cede Crimea, and let it all go. And we're never letting you into NATO. Giving up all of the West's leverage, opening the floodgates to a really dangerous precedent, not just for the Russians, but for other powers in the region, showing them that the West will look away if you attack a country, rip away its territory against the will of the people that live there, and nobody can do anything about it. I mean, that's it's awful. I mean, if you look at what the Saudis want to do to Yemen, what the Turks and the Azeris want to do in Armenia, what the ambitions that the Chinese have with regime change and with some of their neighbors, it's China's ambitions in the South China Sea. And also, of course, I mean, look, I know that a lot of people in our camp don't agree with me on this, but it's not, nobody in the world was happier victory than Benjamin Netanyahu. And
well, again, Trump admitted on camera that he called him and said, "Don't accept the ceasefire deal because I won't make you sign one."
Yeah, and see, it's awful. So you're gonna, as if it weren't bad enough that 40,000 civilians have been slaughtered. You have, the United Nations, the UNRWA, coming out with reports. They've interviewed hundreds of former detainees about the way that people have been treated in Israeli detention. You have people getting, burned with hot iron. Denied food and drinking water, and it's awful. I mean, that regime is completely at odds with the principles of a liberal democracy, and we, as their ally, need to be holding them accountable. But now that Trump's going to be in office, there isn't going to be no accountability, and yeah, it's awful, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Jill Stein told me as long as we didn't elect Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, that everything was going to be fine. Okay, we were gonna free Palestine.
Yeah, she's in She's a useful idiot. That's what she is.
I don't actually. I disagree with you. I think she knows exactly what she's doing.
I don't. I mean, she came into our radio show in college, and she was doing all the same shit in 2016. I'm convinced that she's just in it for herself, and she likes the fame and she likes the attention, because there is nothing that can be achieved by anything she's doing. As long as, I mean, we live in a, we live in a, what's the term? A winner take all, first past the post system, in which it is necessarily the case that a third party is never going to achieve any significant success. The most they can do is damage the electability of the candidate that most closely resembles their platform. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that I would not be surprised if her donors and the people helping her market her message are precisely the same exact people that are in the Trump camp.
Well, no, Trump ran ads for her in Michigan.
Yeah, see?
And I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, why she gets invited to the RT galas in the Kremlin, and why she sits at the same table as Putin. They love her. I'm sure she's getting funding from Russian sources. I wouldn't be surprised, because they see her as a way to help Trump, a destabilizing force, get into power. And even just recently, she was posting a video in going to some big political conference at the Kremlin, all about how horrible America is. You're at the fucking Kremlin.
Her and Tulsi Gabbard together.
America has problems, but God fucking damn it! I mean, look where you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's the same thing with Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, she's always going around. She'll go meet with Bashar al-Assad. She'll go meet with fucking Erdogan. She'll go meet with all the worst people in the world, and then say that she's a patriot because she served, and no one can question that. And yeah, I don't know.
There's not a Russian talking point that Tulsi hasn't loved.
Yeah, the biolabs, bro. Oh my god. Yeah, they're targeting Russian DNA. Dumbest shit ever.
And okay? to go on your point about just the message we're sending the world that we will allow Russia to do whatever they want. I mean, the people like Tulsi and these people on the extreme right, and some people on the extreme left, but it's more of an issue on the extreme right, arguing that we should not be doing anything to support Ukraine because that makes us pro-war. I would argue the pro-war position is abandoning Ukraine, allowing Russia to take over a significant portion of their territory, and sending the message that Russia, you can invade whoever you want, and giving them more reasons to invade because we won't do anything about it.
Yeah, and they're
100% agree.
They're stealing their children. Like they're stealing their children. Okay, like people, it just baffles me. It upsets me so much. Like the Palestine people. It's so obviously the pro Palestine movement is like mostly people who are just there because it's popular right now, and not people that care about Palestine. And you should care about Palestine, just to be super clear. Like I'm not shitting on the idea of caring about Palestine. I'm shitting on the people that are doing it.
I know what you mean, and I agree.
You should exponentially care more about Ukraine than Palestine, and I'll tell you why. There's more people in Ukraine, and if you think all people are the same regardless of ethnic background, then the place where there's more people getting genocided, okay, is the place you should care about more, because that's how that works. And then on top of that, the Bucha and Mariupol are like those massacres were more clearly genocide than anything Israel has done since I think since the War of Independence or the Nakba or whatever you want to call it, right? I think they're more genocide than everything since then. Maybe there's like one or two once, but they're like the Bucha massacre in particular was like they made sure that they fucking killed everyone in that village in Bucha. The Russians did. And then the history of Ukraine and Russia is very similar to the history, like the history of colonization and settler colonialism that goes on in Israel and Palestine. But it's much longer. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's just the same conflict, but just worse in every way. And and in Isaiah is asking to talk about the numbers in Mariupol. I think it's like 400,000 people died in Mariupol, but I'm not super positive. Maybe I'm adding a zero. Maybe it's 40,000 people. Yeah, a lot of people died in Mariupol. But
you don't even have to pick issues, though. I mean, every Democratic candidate who could have run are better on both issues than Trump. See, you don't even have to pick and choose which issue you care more about. If you want less suffering, and your choices are Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, Kamala Harris is the only choice in both options.
Yeah.
Okay, so I are you guys done? Because I mean, I
Yes, I'm trying to look up the civilians.
So as Noah can probably expect, I passionately disagree with Davin on this point, and the reason why is because
on which point? Sorry.
The death toll, the death toll in Ukraine is obviously, but the vast majority of casualties in Ukraine have been.
Oh, you're cutting out, Frank. You're still can't hear you.
You have no mic right now. Oh, there you go.
Oh, you're back.
Okay, all right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, I disagree with almost everything that Davin said, and I will explain why. The vast majority of casualties in the Ukraine war, they're approaching up to, it's far over 600,000. The vast majority of the casualties in Ukraine have been combatant deaths. The civilians that have been killed in Ukraine, obviously, it's appalling what they have done. Especially, you bring up massacres in Bucha, you bring up human rights abuses, the way that Ukrainian civilians and soldiers have been tortured, and reports coming out from behind Russian lines are appalling, and I condemn that in the strongest terms. I also agree with Noah that there's really no need to choose between the two, but you also have I'm going to tell you exactly which institution it was. Give me 1 second. I should have had this ready, but yeah. So the So you have Nizam Mahmoud, who is a retired surgeon that has been volunteering in Gaza, and him and all the reports that accompanied him essentially were saying that the conditions on the ground in Gaza are far worse, and there is far less of a distinction between the front lines and where civilians are living as opposed to in Ukraine. Because in Ukraine, you have two established military forces fighting on a front line, but the civilians have a recourse from which to exit those conditions. No. The Israeli military has contained more than 1 million people to a tiny strip of land, and where they are continuously bombing populated safe zones, UN safe zones. The Israelis have fired rockets at United Nations Blue Helmet peacekeepers in Lebanon and in Gaza, and have done everything in their power to make life as unlivable as possible for these people. They have gone out of their way to prevent aid shipments from getting into Gaza, to the point where multiple European governments have complained about, particularly the French, about their inability to get aid into Gaza. The United States actually gave Israel an ultimatum more than a month ago, as they didn't follow through on it, but they said that they would cut off aid to Israel if Israel did not expedite the movement of goods getting into the Gaza Strip, which they have deliberately done over and over and over again. You're talking food, you're talking water, you're talking sanitary supplies. Mind you, there is no sanitation in Gaza. There is no running water. The vast majority of people are living without shelter. I think it's actually, vast majority is a kind way of saying it. 99% of people in Gaza are without shelter. and they have no way to access basic rights that every single human being should be able to take for granted, because the Israeli military is not giving them an avenue for exiting the conditions that they've created. Moreover, on the point of genocide, to meet one of the ways in which you fulfill all of the elements of genocide, this is the same thing that happened in the Namibian genocide. You can commit genocide without firing a single bullet. If you create the conditions that make it substantially certain that a vast majority or even a significant portion of a population is substantially certain to perish, you have committed genocide, because you have fulfilled the element that says that you are seeking out to destroy in whole or in part, particularly with a mechanism that makes it substantially certain that a population will not survive whatever ordeal you're putting them through. So I think it is very clear that the Israeli government is committing genocide in Gaza, and they are, and that's not a word I take lightly. I mean,
I don't disagree with you.
And me being someone who, for me, my number one, and no one knows this, and Noah's been hearing this like a broken record for 9 years, my number one geopolitical priority and point of advocacy is to advocate for Christians in the Middle East, particularly because of the slow destruction that every Christian ethnic group has gone through since the Armenian genocide, and the fact that it hasn't really stopped. I take the word genocide very seriously, and I must confess, and I'm even ashamed to say this, it took me a lot longer than most people to really come to terms with the fact that genocide was being committed in Gaza, particularly because it is such a serious accusation. It is literally the worst accusation that you could be leveled in international jurisprudence.
I think that the reason that a lot of us took so long to call it genocide is because it's like they were smart enough to titrate it in, right? Versus like, you know, when Russia surrounds Mariupol and just keeps shooting shells until everyone's dead. It's like, okay, well, there's not really an argument. We're not really titrating parts in where there's like, okay, slowly we're going to do this little thing and this little thing, and slowly it's going to become unlivable, right? Like, obviously, like, one of those things is more obviously a genocide to, like, the layman, right? It doesn't make them both not a genocide, just to be super clear, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know if, I mean, genocide is not like a description of the severity of a situation. Genocide is a very specific, I mean, something doesn't become a genocide because of how severe it is necessarily.
No.
You can have a massacre that is not a genocide that kills more people than a genocide.
No.
So what I'm saying is that in Ukraine, what's happening is, you know, it is a brutal war of conquest. It is a denial of national self-determination. It is a subjugation, persecution, oppression of a nation. But I don't think that Russia is deliberately seeking out to completely extinguish what it is to be a Ukrainian, whereas the Israelis are trying to completely uproot and downplay Palestinian identity in its very form, because they continuously and for decades have been pushing forth the talking point that there is no such thing as a Palestinian. They're just like any other Arab, and they can live in any Arab country.
Just to be super clear, the Russians say the exact same thing about Ukrainians, that there's no such thing as being Ukrainian.
I am aware. I am aware. Yes, that is true. Especially, you know, and that became abundantly clear in that ridiculous interview that Tucker Carlson did, where Putin repeatedly humiliated him. And yes, that is true. But I guess, like, I don't know if it's for a lack of ability, but the thing is that the Ukrainians are fighting back, and the Russians are not really in a position to exterminate the Ukrainian population. Will they do it if they get the chance? I think they probably would, but the fact of the matter is that in Israel, you know, that their objective is clear. With Ukraine, again, I'm not saying that at a humanitarian level, what's happening in Ukraine is any less severe than what's happening in Gaza. I'm just saying that I would describe the situation a little bit differently.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I think I disagree with how we describe the situation, but I think they're both genocides and they're both bad, and they're both of things shouldn't be going on. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I differ from both of you completely. I think neither are genocides. They're both horrible and wrong, but I don't think you can meet the dolus specialis standard for genocide in either situation.
With Russia, you absolutely can. Like they have made it very clear several times that they're doing certain things like kidnapping children explicitly so that Ukrainians are going to have trouble with their next generation of people living in eastern Ukraine.
Well, that maybe is. I guess I don't know enough about the specific children issue, and that could change my mind on that.
Yeah, because I mean, you do need a mens rea, which is intent, which I think that's what you're talking about right now.
No,
But
no,
it's higher
for-
than
for-
mens
yeah, for
rea
genocide,
because the dolus specialis goes further than any other kind of mens rea because genocide is such a serious claim. It requires a more explicit intent that why you're doing an action is specifically because you're trying to further the destruction in whole or in part, rather than that being a byproduct.
So I think that the reason why that element could be met in Gaza is specifically, it does specify that it is in part, and you've seen the Israeli government clearing out land and developers starting to look into settlement of that area. If they move forward with that, that element is met, in my opinion.
If Israel tries to move Israelis into the West Bank, or sorry, not the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, I will concede on that point. Absolutely. And I don't know about the development issue, but what my understanding has been is that Israel has no interest in moving into the Gaza Strip. But if I'm wrong on that, then I would definitely be willing to change my opinion on the genocide issue.
Yeah, I think that the dolus specialis in both cases is there. I would just say that Russia, because they have a gajillion nukes, they just say what they mean. They just like whereas Israel always hides behind at least one layer of separation about the intent of what they're actually doing. You know.
Well, Israel doesn't have to do a lot of hiding with that. I mean, as much as it's annoying to hear people say Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. I mean, Hamas literally brags themselves about using Gazans as human shields, and that does not give Israel carte blanche to do whatever they want. And Israel's done a lot of wrong, but I mean that is a thing that happens, and it makes dolus specialis that much harder to prove.
I will say doing things like bombing an aid truck, makes it seem like maybe an aid truck that you agreed could go through the corridor that you ended up bombing. Does seem like there might be some dolus specialis there, right?
Potentially.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that the really difficult thing then at that point, I guess, to like meet Noah's standard is that I just double checked, and I guess while there definitely have been calls within Israel by settlement groups to settle the Gaza Strip, I have not yet found an explicit, I guess, like marker or aim by the a stated aim rather by the Israeli government that says they want to open it up to settlement. But I guess like I don't know why they are, evicting and evacuating people from an empty plot of land and then just like setting it aside, which is exactly what the IDF is doing. And then I guess one of the most ironic things that I consistently hear out of like radical Zionist circles is that you cannot, if you are only entitled to what you can defend, which is essentially reversion to the might makes right model. And I've heard people have said that to me quite recently, and
with that logic, you have to abandon Ukraine too. I mean that's just horrible logic.
I mean, well, with that logic, you also that's them saying that their own ancestors who perished in the Holocaust, I don't mean it's awful that conclusion that they come to.
Yeah,
I agree.
I will say the dolus specialis I do think is a unfortunately, the Holocaust made it kind of hard for us to categorize other genocides because it's like the worst thing that's ever happened, right? At least in modern times, right? In like the modern era. And we based all of our like genocide laws off of like the worst genocide that's ever been like severely recorded.
I think that it's since then become much more rare for like an established sovereign government to do such a thing. I mean, Isaiah just pointed out Khmer Rouge. That's true.
Yeah.
I think the Armenian genocide was just as intentional and just as meticulously planned in its horror and its intent as the Holocaust was. I
will
think
argue
that ISIS.
the difference between like the reason I'm saying that the Nazis were like so bad is because like they wrote about it. They were like, hey, just so everyone knows, we're doing this specifically to fucking kill all these people. It's actually
The Turks
worse.
did that too.
The what?
The Turks did that too.
Okay, I'm not super familiar with the Armenian genocide, to be fair, but yeah, like that, like, but the difference between like either way, the difference between those genocides and now is that they wrote down, we know that doing this is worse than having slave labor. It's actually better if we kept these people alive, but we're gonna fucking kill them, okay? Just to like, because we hate them so much, we'd rather take the economic hit than keep them alive, right? Like they wrote that shit down, right? Isaiah wants us to explain the Armenian genocide. If you could do that,
happy to do it.
Yeah,
happy to do it. I'll try my best to keep it in a nutshell. This is literally, I think, the historical event I am most passionate about.
All right, hell yeah. I mean,
the
hell yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, throughout the history of the Anatolian plain, Armenians have lived in that region as a major civilization and culture, and that extended well into the Ottoman period. Armenians, as we know, are Christian. Turks are Muslim, and during the time approaching the late part of the 1800s, as there were increasing economic divides between Christian Armenians, Greeks, and Assyrians, and the exiled Muslims that were leaving the Balkans and the Caucasus. There was a lot of resentment towards the wealth and influence that Armenians had accumulated. There was also, of course, the rise of nationalism, which inserted this belief into the collective Turkish national conscience that Anatolia as a landmass ought to be synonymous with Turkey, which nowadays we take for granted that Anatolia is Turkey. It wasn't always like that. It used to be a much more diverse region, and up until I think 1913, the Ottoman Empire was plurality Christian. The really crazy thing, is the Turkish government began large-scale massacres of Armenians in it's always happened, but it particularly escalated in the 1890s, and came to a climax in 1915, from 1915 to 1923, in which the Young Turk Triumvirate, that was the name of the regime, Enver Pasha, Talat Pasha, and Cemal Pasha, explicitly wrote down in a manifesto why it was necessary to destroy the Armenians if Turkey was going to become a nation. The only way that Turkey was going to be able to make Anatolia synonymous with Turkey was by getting the Armenians out of the way, whose presence was just as integral and just as native to Anatolia as anybody else. So between 1915 and 1923, it's estimated that between 1.5 and 1.7 million Armenians were murdered in a variety of ways, be it just whole-scale massacre, death marches, death camps, and then as well as the survivors, forceful assimilations, forceful conversions to Islam, it was an attack really on all of the Christian elements of the Ottoman Empire. So the Greeks, especially in Pontus, Cilicia, and in Western Anatolia, were also exterminated. It's estimated that about 950,000 Greeks were killed in the Armenian genocide, which is why a lot of people sometimes call it the Ottoman Christian genocide, and as well as 750,000 Assyrians, Assyrian Christians, who since then have been reduced to a tiny minority that is so small that hardly has the ability to advocate for themselves because of how small they are. Most people don't even know that they exist. That was a byproduct largely of the Armenian genocide. So the Turks obviously lacked the industrial capability that the Germans had, but they had the same intent.
And ironically, just like the Germans, they spent so much time trying to exterminate part of their population that it probably didn't help them in the World War that they were fighting at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They probably
it-
could have if they actually cared about nationalism, they probably could have used those people for a little bit of help there. Yeah.
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 And so that's the Armenian genocide in a
Yeah.
nutshell. It was one of the worst crimes ever committed. In fact, it's what that and the Holocaust are what inspired Lemkin to coin the term genocide.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Cool. But yeah, I think that going back to the original point, that thank you for explaining that. That gives me a lot of background, by the way, on like why there's so much fuckery in the Middle East when it comes to Christians. Like why there's no Middle Eastern Christians, despite the fact that it's a Middle Eastern religion. Um, yeah. My main point was like that yeah, because I guess those two um, are what we get our genocide laws from. Like it's almost bad that that those two are what we got our genocide laws from, because they were just so deliberate and so unashamedly and unrelentingly like just trying to exterminate them at any cost, that I think it kind of hurts trying to categorize anything else as a genocide, if that makes sense, right? Because like the dolus especialis, like I get why you would want a special intent, but like there should be able to be like enough cumulative war crimes or crimes against humanity to where it's just like, okay, you passed the mark, right? It should be like dolus especialis or like some sort of cumulative amount of things that you just do with mens rea, if that makes sense. Yes, no, maybe so.
I think that was frozen.
No,
No, I'm
Never
here.
mind.
I don't know, maybe. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think people can make strong arguments to being more forceful in pushing Israel to change its foreign policy, even without the genocide label. So,
Yep, I
yeah,
understand.
I think it can be a distraction at times, when like the real issue is like conflict needs to be resolved.
Yeah, I think also people calling it apartheid when it's like unfortunately literally just like straight up not apartheid, um, is frustrating too, because it's like because they've figured out this like legal loophole in the apartheid laws to where since they're occupying Gaza and the West Bank, it's not apartheid, but it's apartheid. It's like it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, right? But it's
Well,
like this.
I mean I would agree that apartheid is definitely a mischaracterization of what's happening in Gaza, but I don't think it's a mischaracterization at all of what's happening in the West Bank.
Well, unfortunately, because they are occupying the West Bank and is not officially annexed, it cannot be considered apartheid. But again, I'm saying it's a bird that walks and quacks like a duck, but it is not technically a duck.
Well, that's I think that's like I get what you're saying. What you're saying, is technically correct, but I ultimately think it's semantics, because the conditions that those people are living in resemble apartheid, and I think that's the main point. Whether or not it's legally apartheid, I think, is less relevant.
Yes, I agree. I that's why I said, yeah, that's like that was my point. Yeah, that's like the because people, but I hate when people like focus on it being called apartheid, because it's like the problem is not the problem is not the word, right? Like just focus on what it is then. They're
The
doing,
problem is the conditions.
yeah, the conditions are bad. If someone goes, oh well, if you say, oh, it's apartheid, and someone goes, oh, it's not apartheid, just start describing the conditions. Like it doesn't matter. The label we put on something is not as important as describing what's actually happening, right? I think, or when people try to argue that it's not genocide, okay, cool. Here's what's happening then. Okay, and if it's not genocide, I'm going to tell you all the bad things that are happening, and even if it's not genocide, okay, it's not good. It's really bad. Okay, it needs to stop. And you need to get like
100% agree.
Yeah, like I don't really care if we call it a genocide. We need to stop. Israel needs to stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Genocide is just a label for the thing that's happening.
Yeah.
That may or may not be appropriate. Okay.
Yeah, fair point.
Right. Like I think that like Noah has a different opinion on it being a genocide or not. But if we described all the things we think are happening and how bad we think they are, I think we would
Mhm.
all have this exact same agreement on what the facts are, and all this exact same agreement on how bad that is, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably the fairest assessment that has been made. Because I mean, I think that I think people get lost in the weeds just by like getting into the debate about this is genocide, this isn't, this is apartheid, this isn't. But I mean, really, I think those are still important discussions, just based on the idea that the perpetrators could ever be held accountable, which, by the way, I don't think they ever will. But, like, as it pertains to gaining humanitarian sympathy for what those people are going through, I don't think it's terribly important to, discuss the specific legal definitions of or characterizations of what's happening.
Yeah,
that's a fair point.
Isaiah wants to hop in.
He's muted.
Okay, make him hop in.
I've got about 15 minutes left in me.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to go soon too. I gotta go to the friggin'
All right, I'm gonna. He's not doing anything, so I'm gonna disconnect him, and then he can rejoin, and then he'll be able to talk. Okay.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. Isaiah.
Hello. Oh my
Hi.
God, I'm here.
Okay, what did you want to
Hello.
talk about?
Oh, I had something to say a second ago, and since then the flow of the conversation has already gone somewhere else.
That's
and,
okay. You can bring us.
Just
back.
say it anyway.
Yeah.
The other thing is I honestly forget what I had to say. Let me think about it. Pretty much just that I agree a lot with everything all of you guys have said.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll speak up if something else comes up.
Okay. Yeah. What I was gonna say. Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about the Trump cabinet appointments / all the bad things that are gonna happen.
Oh boy.
So let's play a little game called "What's the worst cabinet appointment?" Okay. Who wants to start? Who do you think is the worst cabinet appointment? Noah already knows who I think the worst one is.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I think it's Matt Gaetz.
Okay, that's a fair choice. It's a fair choice. Why do you think he's the worst one?
Just because how obviously corrupt and malevolent he has shown himself to be. Someone who is willing, who has essentially bragged about the fact that he has no moral compass, and that we're all only entitled to the justice that we can obtain by force. And just his worldview worries me a lot. And I don't think that's somebody who should be responsible for representing the American people in court.
Okay.
And there's also the fact that he literally resigned from Congress earlier than he had to, because he didn't have to resign until his appointment, because he knew a big report was going to come out that who knows what it has in it, but had the potential to confirm that he was sleeping with a young lady / girl who was under the age of 18 and trafficking her across the country.
I'm not a fan of.
No, I hate Matt Gaetz. Fuck that guy. But
they were 2 days away from releasing the report, and now, of course, Mike Johnson is saying that that they shouldn't release the report because he's no longer in Congress.
Doesn't matter. They should do it anyways.
Well, of course they should, but
yeah. I will say I disagree with you guys. I think Tulsi Gabbard is the worst one because I genuinely do think she's working for the Russians. Like I actually do believe she's.
I think Tulsi's the worst too. Though I was just adding to Francisco's point of why Matt Gaetz is so horrible.
Yeah, I think.
Wait, is she like a Russian spy?
We don't know that, okay, but she agrees with every Kremlin talking point, even when right wing even the right wing grifters don't agree with the Russian talking point. Okay. It's rough how much she believes in these Russian talking points. Like she believed the biolab shit. She believed like it's gross. She warmed up to Bashar al-Assad. She else did she warm up to that the Russians like?
She said that the Ukrainians are Nazis.
Oh yeah, there we
Nice.
go. Yeah, that I think she's a Russian spy, and you also had somebody in the Republican Party who is a MAGA movement member said, I think something along the lines of, it would be better to shut down the Department of Intelligence than to have Tulsi Gabbard run it. So I think that.
Dude, this is awful. Like this is what we live in, man. Like
the two
It's
we
just
just
funny.
named.
This is
The two we
Go
just
for it,
named might
Dom.
not get confirmed, to be fair. Like, people are, like, Republicans are genuinely talking about not confirming Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard, to be fair. No?
RFK is gonna get confirmed.
Yeah, he's going to get confirmed. And as somebody who works in the biotech sector, I'm letting you know it's very bad. Okay? There's a reason our biotech in America is the greatest in the world, and it's because of the FDA. And he wants to basically fucking destroy the FDA. And, like, yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful. He's gonna get confirmed. I mean, he's a guy that thinks that the world was better before fluoride was a thing.
yeah. The fluoride disinformation is just gross.
Well, I mean, he went to he says he's not anti-vax, but he went to American Samoa and convinced all these people not to get the MMR vaccine, and then big surprise, a bunch of people got measles and 83 people died. So you know.
Yeah, he killed them. He has blood on his hands.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah. He has a lot of bear blood on his hands too.
That pisses me off so much, dude. We need bears. Like seriously. Like there is a.
To be fair, it was already dead. To be fair to him.
Okay, well, I will just take this opportunity, this rare platform to just state my view on how much I despise people that go out and kill bears. We need bears. We have a lack of predators in the wild, and it is essential for the sustainment of the trophic levels to not harm bears. People are fucking dicks. When Joe Rogan's over here talking about how bear meat tastes like blueberries, I'm like, you fucking idiot. Like, you're over here on the very last podcast talking about how feral hogs are going to destroy the agriculture sector. Well, I wonder why. I wonder why they're able to get out of control. Because we don't have wolves and we don't have bears. And it's just like, bears are also just like...
We brought the wolves back.
Yeah, we need to bring more. It makes me... I also just love bears. I think bears are so... I think, like, humans and bears and the bad relations we have are just a big misunderstanding, and I wish we could collaborate. We could accomplish so much.
I did not know that this podcast is going to go the route of Francisco, like, explaining his deep passion for bearhood.
I have a bear take that might upset Francisco, is that I think we should let the pandas die. Okay, they deserve to die. Okay, they won't.
They're so funny. Aren't you gonna miss those videos of them?
They won't
They're
even
so
fuck.
cute.
Okay, they won't even fuck. If they won't want to fuck, they don't want to live. All right, that's God saying, okay, fucking smite them. All right, that's what he's saying.
Oh, poor pandas.
Oh my god. Do you know they're supposed to be carnivores? Like their digestive tract is like a carnivore's digestive tract.
I do know that like removing them from their environment has been a big reason as to why they've all pretty much developed debilitative ADHD. Polar bears are also in danger, and it makes me sad. Like whenever I see a video of like a polar bear like looking for food, I wish I could just teleport to like a helicopter and just like throw a big salmon at one.
No. Yeah, polar bears like deserve to live. Okay, pandas do not.
Yeah. I mean, polar bears, if they go extinct, like Mitch McConnell deserves like a large percentage of the blame. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like it's true. Like Mitch McConnell is an observable and you need to mention his impact on global environmental policy, and how his actions and his priorities have led to the unsustainable preservation of the polar bear habitat. It's Mitch McConnell's fault. If my kids don't see polar bears, it's because of fucking Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. But
What specifically did Mitch McConnell do?
Being like one of, if anti-environment senators in the country, killing every single environmental bill that comes across his desk while he's been in the majority, and how that has, his very long tenure in Congress, he's been one of the most fierce and significant opponents to any funding of any research for any initiative that explores the effects of the polar ice caps melting, which is exactly what is killing the polar bears. Yeah, it's like a thing in bear circles.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
What do you think of the reintroduction of grizzly bears to Eastern Washington? If we're gonna continue this rabbit hole a little bit.
Isaiah also lives in Washington, by the way.
Oh, you live in Washington? Where?
Yeah, I'm in Bellingham right now. I'm in school.
Oh, okay, you're up north. All right, I'm in
Yep.
Seattle, up in North Lake Union.
Got it.
Yeah. Wow, so cool. You're so close. Yeah, I think I'm a fan of it. I'm always a fan of it. I think they should reintroduce them to California too. I think we should just leave the Sierras alone and give it back to the bears. It'd be better for the environment.
Back to the bears.
Don't let RFK near him.
I mean, I don't know, man. That guy. It's like I just feel bad for him. Like I don't post anything about him on social media or anything, just because, like, dude, I don't understand. Like, people were willing to vote for him, and I'm just not gonna say it. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. I keep forgetting Davin's recording these things, and I gotta be on my best behavior.
You don't need to be on your best behavior.
Just say it, Frank.
Yeah,
dude, it's just straight up not cool to to peddle these ideas, and what's even more sad is like the lack of awareness of what life was like in the United States specifically before there were vaccines. And I don't think that his tenure in the cabinet is going to be enough just by itself to roll back pretty much every convention of established medicine. But I mean, it's going to challenge the foundations, and that's not good.
Well, and it's going to make the idea. And yeah, it's not going to completely destroy a medical establishment. I agree with you. But what it will do is it'll make it more normalized, these ideas, these anti-vax ideas. I mean, he will be the most anti-vax person at that high of a level that we've had it definitely my lifetime, and probably for a long time before.
Yeah.
What you guys don't understand is that the medical establishment doesn't want you to know about peptides.
Well, a lot of people also, because like a lot of people also, I mean, there is a smaller but definitely present action on the left that is also pro RFK, specifically because of the vaccine angle. Mm-hmm. And one of their biggest talking points as well, Bernie Sanders has also criticized the pharmaceutical industry, but it's not the same. He's criticizing like monopolies and tax loopholes, and like had nothing to do with the tech.
Yeah, I think people don't. I'm gonna bounce off you. Nobody criticizes the pharmaceutical industry in this country for their science. Okay.
Yeah.
The drugs that they make work. Okay. The things that they do are like it's not like the 60s when we're sending fucking birth control over to India and sterilizing half their fucking women or anything like that. That's not happening anymore. Okay. Like we fucking, because I work in biotech. You have no idea how many fucking mice we kill, okay, in the biotech industry. All right, it's like that book Mouse, okay, that's about the Holocaust.
Well, and also there's the angle that I think a lot of people don't look at is that pharmaceutical companies, like, treatments for people who are extremely sick are extremely expensive. And so when you've got to put someone on a breathing machine and give them Regeneron and all these other extremely expensive treatments when they're on death's door, that costs way more money. And Pharmaceutical industries have a lot more to gain from focusing on treating the people who are super sick with COVID than preventing people with vaccines, which are relatively cheap at the individual level. So vaccines, at the end of the day, are not the most financially. I mean, they're financially feasible. They do make them money, but they don't have the same financial opportunities that if they said, fuck the vaccines, let's focus on treating super sick people, they could make a lot more money doing that. So yeah, vaccines just don't represent the abuses of the pharmaceutical industry that you can look for in other areas.
Well, I also think it's funny that everyone's like criticizing Pfizer for their vaccines for being like predatory and what how do I say it? Like, we're like they're just making it to make money off of you and da da da. And then those same people will turn around and buy fucking Viagra that's sold by Pfizer too, you know? Like,
Can I just ask?
okay, if it makes your dick hard, all of a sudden it's okay that they're making money off of you.
How come they test on mice instead of rats?
Rats are just way more expensive.
Interesting.
And I just want to say, I was like talking a lot of shit. We don't kill the mice on purpose. That we have to sack them to like collect their tissue to make sure the tissue is okay, so that when we put it in a monkey, we don't kill the monkey immediately and it don't put it in a lot of pain. Just to be super clear to everyone at home that heard the first.
Why do rats have such a crazy predation for mice?
I don't know. I'm not an ecologist, right? I'm a molecular biologist. So
I don't like rats. I think rats are really rude and mean because they kill mice in such brutal ways.
That's just how nature is, though. Do you hate killer whales?
No, I think they're kind of cool.
Oh, you know what they do to? Do you know what they do to seals?
Yeah, they like torture them to death.
Yeah. Do you know what dolphins do to people? If
they rape them.
Yeah. And dolphins like know what they're doing. Like apparently, like the dolphins know that they're doing it, and then they sit there and they make those stupid laughing. What?
Oh no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut in. I was just gonna advocate for the dolphins really quick and say that I don't think every dolphin is just looking to rape a human. In fact, I think there's plenty of stories of dolphins actually saving humans' lives. Probably more stories of that.
Yeah, Davin, don't be mean to the dolphins.
Yeah, Davin.
Okay, guys,
it's like people. You're gonna get someone who's just gonna be a bad person. Like
the fight's about to start. Should we just comment on the fight?
Yeah.
What fight? What fight?
The Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight.
We're starting it at.
I'm so ready to watch these.
Yeah, put your Netflix on, guys. It's about to start.
All right, I get.
Oh fucking hell!
All right, I'll put it on, and I'll put it on my phone.
Yeah, the super podcast.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm gonna chop this up into like several segments, okay? All right. Francisco's getting his own segment. He doesn't even know.
Fuck, seriously? No.
Yeah, all about the Bears, okay?
The Bears.
You have no idea how shy I am. Like I hate the idea of my face on the internet, and I was realizing as this was going, but whatever, fucking Davin's gonna
We're
do
literally
whatever.
live right now, just so you know. So.
I gave implied consent, so like there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, boys, this was fun. I guess I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, thank you so
Bye,
much
buddy.
for coming. Is there anything you want to shout out before you go?
Go Cardinals.
Go Cardinals. Oh, and make a blue. Anyone who has a Twitter or X, make a blue sky. Leave Twitter and X.
Okay. All right. Bye, Francisco. Thank you so much.
Bye.
I got the fight right now.
I can't connect to Netflix right now. Hold on. Let me try to see if I can get it on the browser.
I just have a feeling this is not going to go well.
When you say it's not going to go well, who are you referring to? Jake Paul or Logan?
I'm referring to this old man who's on stage getting his ass kicked.
Oh God.
I want him with all my heart. to just destroy Jake Paul. I really do. But I just don't think that's possible. I hope he proves me wrong.
This is
All right, I can't get in. Oh,
how many rounds do you think Jake Paul's ear is gonna last?
Well,
his ear. Oh. Okay, cool. We're going. Oh, they're in the ring. Okay.
Yep, they're just about to start. Oh my god.
All right. Yeah. Mike's got to get him right away.
That's the only way.
Yeah. Are they wearing the big boy gloves or are they wearing the small gloves? Because I know some people were wearing bigger gloves than other people tonight. So.
There's so much I want to say right now that I can't because I'm on a podcast.
You're not only on a podcast, you're live. Okay.
Oh my god. How many viewers?
0.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
My Wi-Fi's going so slow, it's not working.
Uh-oh. Oh, Jake Paul just grabbed him immediately.
Oh, look at that ear. Right next to the mouth.
All right.
Holy shit. Dang.
I personally think that if you initiate a grapple, then you like enough times you should just get fucking a point taken away.
I would be open to that. I do like that Tyson's being aggressive though, which is what he needs to do.
Yeah, but Jake Paul's just trying to grab him. Like,
yeah.
I think or the ref should just immediately bring you to the middle of the ring and break you, or actually not even bring you to the middle of the ring, just immediately come in and break you when you do that.
Oh, Tyson just ducked a big hook. I'm impressed with what I'm seeing from Tyson.
Yeah, he's chilling. I think he knows to conserve his energy.
He does. He's 60. Well, 59.
Yeah.
59, right?
I think he's 58.
Oh,
but
he took a hit there, but come on. Come on.
Yeah, he needs to. Yeah.
Oh, he did a duck and it scared the fuck out of Jake.
Well, because Jake knows that if he gets hit, it's not going to be good.
Tyson's got the power still.
Yeah.
Okay. The way this first round's going is making me feeling a little bit better about Tyson's chances. I did not think he was going to move that well. I really did not.
I think that one of the main problems with how boxing is scored is that it's just punches thrown versus punches landed comparison to each other. But like Tyson just essentially just chased him around the ring for fucking 2 minutes. Like, and in MMA that would be Tyson's round, even if it was like slightly in favor of Paul, right? It would be Tyson's round. Yeah. Even if the punches were slightly in favor of Paul, my bad. My Netflix glitched out, so.
Yeah. I think Tyson would have flattened Paul in his prime.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. No, Jake Paul would have been knocked out that first round. No, I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
In Tyson's prime, for sure.
Oh god. All right, cool. They're back in the ring. It's loading. Okay.
But Jake Paul at best is bottom tier pro, probably amateur. Mike Tyson at his best was almost unstoppable. There's just no comparison if you compare their peaks.
Yeah. Would Mike Tyson have beat Muhammad Ali both in their prime?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
But that's just because Muhammad Ali was like unbelievable. He could take more punishment than pretty much anyone in history.
All right. Well, Mike Tyson didn't really punish you. He just decapitated you.
Yeah, but I feel like he would have. I mean, Muhammad Ali was good at avoiding the worst. And you know, he would take the hits that weren't going to take him out of the fight while avoiding the hits that would.
Dude, this needs to be a fucking penalty. Like they need to stop this in boxing, where you can just rush in and grab somebody if you're against the ring. It's like it stalls out the sport so bad.
I kind of want to watch Tyson knock Jake Paul out.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, but every time he gets in a position to, Jake Paul just grabs him, which again, I don't know. Oh my god, my Netflix keeps like bugging out.
No. Maybe it's because you're streaming. Why don't you just turn the stream off?